That's not even English.
Let's go, baby.
No, into here.
Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby.
No, you gotta say it clear, otherwise you won't be able to hear it.
Let's go, baby.
You can always just like, start whenever type of thing. But no, I gotta go to. So they're doing that. Yeah, so he asked me to play hockey.
It's just a pickup game?
Yeah, on like Thursday nights at 10 o'clock. And then I was like, okay, like maybe. And then right after that, I messaged my dad to see if we had
You still have gear?
equipment. Like
Yeah.
we probably had 5 bags of like, mixed equipment. And then, anyways, so I was like, there's a guy coming down from Good Life in Windsor that like wanted like, so he, Kim from, did you train, you were down there at all when we were, anyways,
No.
mom's friend works with him at Good Life. And he was saying how he wanted to open up a gym. And Kim was like, oh, like you should talk to Ian. And then my mom went into Good Life the next day and he's like, hey, are you Ian's mom? And blah, blah, blah. So long story short, I was going to ask him to bring up equipment. And then they're doing that ride or that run Sunday. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go down. Like
That would be
my
pretty cool.
brother's
Yeah, that's
doing
cool.
the run and
Running
stuff.
over the bridge, Detroit?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I might just go down early Sunday morning or Saturday night, go watch it with my mom, and then
Yeah.
come back.
But anyways, like I said, never skated in my life. I'd like to try it. So see how that goes.
I'm just like, I'm worried about like, I don't want to like get hurt.
What if somebody just like checks you?
No, it's not like,
What, just skate into the boards?
Well, hey man, the pro move
I know how
is
to
you just spin
stop.
in circles until you stop.
no, I know how to stop.
I don't.
It's like, a pretty tame hockey, but I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about like losing my teeth or something like that.
Well, wear a mouth guard. You got one?
Yeah, you can get one of those NHL like.
Yeah, it's if you get hit
Sport
in the
check
teeth,
it.
it's like, and I don't want to wear I'd just wear a visor.
Yeah, what if you get a puck in the face?
Yeah, that's where
Could you
I'm like
imagine? This guy just comes back. it's
Comes
like
back
tooth missing.
mangled.
Yeah.
big black eye like Friday morning, a gash out of my chin or something.
I guess you could lean into being more of a hardcore gym then.
We'll
Looking
see.
that way.
Yeah.
Playing hockey and then it goes back, but
Well,
Yeah.
you can tell us all about it.
yeah, I will.
100%.
Now I got to get it. Now I've basically confirmed that I'm going next Thursday. So
Yeah, there's
What position did you play when you played?
it's funny. I actually played goalie.
Okay, my brother plays
Forever.
goalie too.
For like up until like grade 9, and I was like actually pretty good, like played travel my whole life and everything. And then in high school I was like, I realized that I wasn't gonna be anything really,
Right.
and I was just like always like I was like, I'm just gonna try. I could be probably a pretty good like player. So then I played like high school hockey as forward, and like then on as like forward, which is like pretty strange, but
Yeah.
going
yeah.
from goalie to forward.
yeah. And like even then, like I made the high school team like
Cool.
legitimately, and like
And
yeah.
then you just stopped cold turkey after high school?
I played. I think it was it after I played 1 year of like junior C or like half a season type of thing, and then after that it was just like
Done deal.
just like having fun, and then my mom was asking me. I think I played like it's been at least 10 years though. So
And then you just got into bodybuilding.
yeah, basically.
So my question for you is: are you a better goalie now that you're larger? Now that you have more body?
I don't know. I wouldn't know. It was actually like why I was so probably
What was your stop percentage?
95.
Good. Good.
No, but it was funny because when I like went to forward, I was like in high school, and that's when I started like working out. Like I was a bigger guy, like the more muscular guy and a big guy. So I would just like when I played, I don't remember what did I actually play? It was some sort of like travel. I would like scrap, like fight, and like
You're that guy?
Yeah, like kind of, because like I was decent. Like I wasn't bad. I wasn't like amazing, but I was like above average still. But I was like, oh, this is like fun. So like I did that. I was just like a tough
Rowdy,
guy. Yeah.
tough guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
I'm always curious hearing like everyone's like inception stories into sports or into like what got them into fitness.
Yeah. It honestly, fitness wise, it just,
Was that
coffee and everything.
Was that kind of like drove you into like lifting weights, doing other stuff? Like
Probably. It honestly just became too much cardio. Like, even though I was in high school and hadn't like even thought of like bodybuilding necessarily or anything, it was still like, it became not to the point where I like stopped it because I knew I wasn't going to like be less of a bodybuilder, but it definitely at some point was just like, oh, this is like, I'm enjoying this more. And then this is too much like, cardio really.
yeah, I had a very different like intro to fitness.
Fitness. Why?
Mine was more so like being dragged into the gym by my older brother.
Yeah.
And being shown like, here's what you could do to not be a pussy.
Yeah.
And hate your life.
Yeah.
And then going home and being like, I'm just going to go not do that for another year.
Yeah. Like in high school or?
Like I kind of like, I got into it, would have been, I think grade 10 or grade 11.
Yeah.
I really didn't start like showing interest into it until I had my grade 11 teacher, Mr. Regan, was like the reason why I was like brought us to the YMCA like twice a week. The days that we weren't there, he was doing like P90X tapes in the gym or auditorium, or we were just going through like
P90X.
remember that.
Yeah.
For me,
Or just like Broga kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He kind of did like FRC stuff before there was a name for it.
Yeah.
So it kind of took that for me to actually want to go myself and want to like make it a repeat thing.
Mm-hmm. I was like, I've said this before. When I walked into, like, if you don't know Windsor, it's the Good Life there. Mm-hmm. Or no, actually it was a different gym at the time. But I walked in, I saw like Fuad. Do you know who Fuad is?
Yeah.
I walked him, and he actually lives like kind of a block away from like my parents and where I grew up. He lived there and still does. And I saw him and like a training partner at the gym when I was like, I must have been grade 9 or like probably grade 9. And I was like, holy shit, like, what is that? So like, that was like one of the first days I went to the gym. Like, and I was like, that's insane. Like, and that was just it from there as far as like, he was probably the biggest he ever was at that point.
Right.
Like, you know, a top level, even then, bodybuilder.
And you see
Yeah,
it
I
live
was.
in person, right?
Oh, it was a
Well,
whole.
seeing
Even
those
when I see people like that now,
seeing
I'm
those guys in person versus
Yeah.
seeing those guys like on photos.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah. So I saw that and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then it was all downhill from there.
That's awesome.
But so you actually, that's what I was gonna ask. You still
Yeah.
train clients and stuff?
Yeah, and just more so now in my own time.
Oh, nice.
Because that's my roundabout way of trying to get it more my business, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've been, I think, coaching since 10, 11 years now.
Yeah.
Ever since I was kind of like 19 was when I really like I got bit by the iron bug like 16, 17, which in those years I thought I was like late to the party.
Yeah.
Which now I realize
Yeah.
like I'm not late at all.
Yeah,
Like, I train. I have some clients that are like 45. And
Yeah.
they're the first squat.
Yeah.
Or like first hinge ever, right? And like, how have you picked up stuff for fucking 45 years
Yeah.
to this point? So my interest kind of evolved gradually into it, where I was surrounded by a lot of high performers. Like my brother was in football, was in hockey, was into lifting weights, was into just like doing everything under the sun that he could.
Yeah.
My dad was just like came from Poland to here, like always played soccer, like got basically benched in Poland for having like an ACL injury that ended his career.
Yeah.
So, but he came here and like played in Nilestown, like the Masters League, like did all that.
Did you play soccer?
No.
Did your brother?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Of course.
Yeah.
I was fully like the black sheep of the family, man, where like everyone, like mom was into like walking and running and playing tennis, like dad, soccer and tennis and volleyball, and like was a PE teacher.
So now is your brother still like?
Oh yeah, my
fit
brother's
and
still,
everything?
he's
Like-
still coaching the Western tennis team.
Oh, okay.
And
So it's not like
he's still, he's still fit,
totally
like, even though he had his first kid
opposite?
a year ago.
Yeah.
No, so it's been awesome to kind of like learn from him, and then in a way like theoretically kind of surpass him by just nerding out over it.
Yeah.
But I've always kind of filtered through like always have felt like the nerd,
Yeah,
or, like
yeah.
the research guy, right? Of like not wanting to be just buried in the literature, because that was definitely like my university education where I went through kin,
Yeah.
and I was slowly getting into fitness at that time, but there was nothing. There's no direction. There was no master plan, no path I was really following. I was just
Yeah.
kind of winging it.
Yeah.
Literally just putting down like the next railroad in front of me and being like, all right, let's see if it holds my weight.
Yeah.
And then kept going that way. And I luckily, like worked at Body Systems while I was at Western. And so I got
Oh,
to
nice,
meet like
yeah.
some guy like Dave Otterbein,
Yeah.
Scott McClellan, like
Yeah.
met a lot of guys that were kind of connected to like Blue Star or what is now Beyond,
Yeah.
and Believe.
Nice.
And so, yeah, like knowing those guys, and they were kind of the ones that were like educating me on like, hey, like here's the supplement world.
Yeah.
Spent about 5 years in that, and then was kind of like, I don't like supplements as much as I thought I did.
Yeah.
It was just really interesting on like the literature side of things. But when you are very literature focused, and then you try and work for a business,
Yeah.
right? Like I definitely was just naive and didn't know.
Yeah.
And started kind of rubbing up against like, why are we selling like sit malate and like these other ingredients that like might not be as like efficacious as you think they are.
Yeah.
And then my boss is being like, shut up and sell it. And I'm just like, okay, shit. Well, I can't be
And
here.
it just
Sell,
takes the
sell.
enjoyment
Right. So
out
just
of it.
Yeah.
the second it felt like a sales thing, where when I started, it was this grandiose thing of like, hey, I'm selling fitness and helping people and making their lives better. Right. And by the end of it, I was just kind of very jaded and cynical as to like all these guys want is sales numbers on the board, and they don't care about the client that comes in, whether they're overweight, right, underweight, obese, whatever. It's just kind of like sell as much product and have a repeat
Profit,
customer.
yeah.
Which again, business side,
Business,
I learned a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
But on the relationship building side of like what I wanted to make my work fulfilling, it just wasn't it,
yeah.
right? So I kind of went back to, okay, well, what's next? What can I look for? What can I do? Didn't really have a lot of options. And so I was kind of like, oh, well, I really like fitness. I just don't know what to do in it.
Yeah.
And then so coaching kind of just naturally came about, where in the shop I had people ask me questions about like, what does beta alanine do, right? Like how many grams do I take? Like if I'm a triathlon versus a sprinter versus like a power lifter,
Yeah.
right? Like for each application, like I knew that stuff like the back of my hand.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it came to like working with clients, like firsthand, and actually having like a relationship on top of just like the back and forth, so like, hey, I want you to do these inputs, right?
Yeah.
Expecting they're going to be a machine just coming out of like, checked off everything, coach. What's next?
It's like,
Just like
give it
best
5
case
years.
scenario, I found like 2 of those clients that were bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And then I was like super like, what the fuck's happening with 90% of my clients?
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you start at 19, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
You got to figure
now
it
I
out
definitely
too.
have a lot more of a respect for, if I was to be paired up with like a 19-year-old coach, I'd be like, nope.
Yeah.
Need like a 35-year-old or more, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
I just want some life experience behind the prescriptions.
So what what's your like, is that basically your clientele now too? Is like people that fit that mold? Like,
It's changed, man. It's changed so much over the years. Like when I first, like when I was obsessed about body, it's kind of followed like my interests, right? Which I think is the healthy thing.
yeah.
I know some coaches might disagree on that, but I think it's genuine. It's
Yeah.
as genuine as you can be as a coach. So I've kind of changed my clientele over the years, where it used to be a lot of like strength power guys from bodybuilding and powerlifting that were, if not like doing both sports, were just heavily invested in one of the two.
Yeah.
And then just wanted the freedom to be able to coach the way I wanted to. So I just naturally kind of found my way into like a CrossFit box.
Yeah.
That's how I met Jacob and Sarah.
Yeah.
And then the guys at Movements, and both like worked out of both gyms over the pandemic. And just felt like, okay, don't like CrossFit, but there's definitely something here with like the box, and even the business model behind it just made sense to me, where like less dollar per square foot, you don't need as big of a facility, right? Like you don't need to be there for every hour of every day if you have like a class or if you have a semi-private model.
Yeah.
So it just started, like my interest just started flaring up again, where my interest in business was kind of stimulated by like learning from them and how they run their business model.
Yeah.
And then also having like a highlighter to what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
for-
How do you
for
train normally?
myself.
Like, what's your current like training style?
My current training right now is kettlebells.
Yeah.
exclusively.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you said that.
Yeah, which is fucking bizarre.
That's one thing that like we've been doing a ton of different stuff. Even just an hour ago, we did like a good circuit style, like more
man.
like what we have down there. And then I don't know if I'd call it like CrossFit, but like I guess some of that stuff and like
conditioning and
Yeah, yeah,
mixing
yeah.
like strength and
even recently we've been
I
doing
hate
like
strength
more
conditioning.
deliberate like high rock style, like, you know, run,
yeah.
exercise,
Running,
run,
what we were kind of
exercise.
talking about last time, where it's
Yeah.
like conditioning with like your wall balls into a run,
Yeah.
into a kettlebell swing, into the deadlift, and then you're just going through
Yeah.
rounds and rounds and rounds of that.
Which I enjoy, actually. It's just
Yeah.
like it's so much more fun.
Well,
And
there's
it's-
something freeing into also having a shorter like list of
Yeah.
things to do,
Yeah.
but then having 5 to 7 rounds.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I have like 30 wall balls, 400 meter run, 10 kettlebell swings and then like 5 cleans per side.
Yeah.
Right. It's like I could really
So
enjoy that
similar
because
what
I
you've
can kind
been
of work
doing. Yeah.
down in like I can make a more complex movement at the end, right? Do less reps of it.
Yeah.
And then just be smoked with breathing where it's
I'm
it's getting
really
tougher and
curious.
tougher
I
and
am
tougher.
curious to have someone like, again, just because more of like the actual structure has been like the high rock style. Again, if that's like, you know, a mix of everything, I guess too. But like I want to know how difficult those workouts are that we're doing are compared to like
The
real
actual-
ones.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if someone that, you know, either competed in one or trains specifically for that, if they'd like, oh yeah, you guys are doing half the work, or holy shit, like you guys like
You guys
are
should
giving it,
definitely,
you know, like, so I'm curious of that too. But that's one thing we haven't done is we haven't done any like kettlebell specific
Right.
workouts.
Just
like,
kettlebell.
Yeah.
Solely, we haven't done anything so far with it. No,
Yeah, man,
we've included kettlebell swings,
Yeah, of course.
here and there, but nothing just like so.
I just like
kettlebell.
admittedly myself, like I don't know a lot of the movements. Like even kettlebell swing, like one of the trainers down there was showing me one day like an actual kettlebell swing. I was like, oh, this is like we do, you know, a lot of squat movement in it, or like I think naturally I did just because there's a little bit. I don't know, and then
did you
know
move the kettlebell more like diagonal, or did you let it kind of pendulum?
Yeah,
and
I
back?
guess it was like a lot more squat movement than hinge at hip movement.
Gotcha. So you're just kind of, so the
Yeah.
L line was more.
Yeah, versus like when I was under the
Vertical.
impression of what I was told, it's a lot more like lower back involved. Like, you know, like
It's a lot of glutes.
yeah,
It's
we're-
like,
we were doing it like again, it's a squat movement while the kettlebell swings.
Yeah.
So
well, because they're like I'm not an expert by any stretch. Like this is just like I said, kind of my next fascination of like what I've moved into.
yeah,
But I found with the kettlebell swings, especially like what I saw at movements is that we had like 2 types that we'd use a lot. It would be like a Russian swing and an American swing.
yeah,
So you have one that ends at the collarbone, right? So you're just
Yeah,
swinging up
yeah.
like just about collarbone height, like under shoulders. And then I think the American one's like you go all the way overhead.
Yeah.
So you have like full extension
Full
through
range.
knees, hips, shoulders, elbows.
Yeah.
Everything stacked. I always found it like the trade off with them is like I loved the shorter like Russian variation where it's like just collarbones back down. 'Cause
Yeah.
You can get a lot of torque, you can get a lot of force out of them. The American ones always just seemed like it was just a lot of zone for rest.
yeah,
Kind of the same thing as like
almost type of thing.
yeah, kind of using hang time or kind of like what you with like delt training where like there's a certain range of motion that like you just don't feel any
Yeah,
tension,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like for the delts it'd be probably somewhere down here.
Yeah.
Or if you're just holding that, right? Same thing with the swing. It's like you get overhead.
Yeah.
And you have that moment of like there's nothing happening.
Yeah.
And you have the pendulum coming right back. So it's like, I get to take a big breath.
Yeah,
And
that makes
I've
sense.
seen
yeah.
those utilized more as like if again I'm doing 30 of them in a row.
Yeah.
Like I might be able to get an extra breath or 2, like as I'm at the top of the swing, like
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
back
yeah,
into
yeah.
swing, back up, right? Like 2 breaths
Yeah,
as
yeah,
opposed
yeah.
to the shorter
One.
swing. It's like
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a
but other
sprint.
than that, I don't know any kettlebell real movements. You know, like
yeah, the big ones that I've learned for me has been like the half get up was a great
Yeah.
start because it was just having like 1 or 2 bells in your hand and like doing a half sit up.
yeah,
So you're learning how to kind of like peel your traps and your upper back off the floor first, and then your mid back, and then your low back,
yeah, yeah,
as opposed to just like slamming your whole back flat into the floor like a hollow body.
yeah.
And then full get up was like doing like a full sit up with it, and
Yeah.
then a full Turkish get up where like you're on your back, you have the kettlebell beside you, get into your chest, get it overhead, and then kind of like start to get into seated position, one leg out, one leg bent, and
Yeah.
then like one knee through. So it's like windmill.
Yeah, okay. So those, what would be the next like core kettlebell movement? Not like
Yeah.
not literal core.
No,
like
no, no. But
base.
like clean power cleans are a big one.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
you'll see those
Yeah.
a lot, right? Like you can do dumbbell or kettlebell. Kettlebell, obviously, you get more specific.
Yeah,
Snatches, you'll see a lot of those in the training. And then you have like what I call like the fun ballistic movements, where you have like your tactical cleans, you have your tactical snatch, where you're changing a hand as you're
yeah,
doing it
yeah.
overhead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you might start like left-handed, and as you pull it off the floor, and it's like floating to your shoulder,
Yeah.
you're basically getting your other hand through that horn, and then making sure like you're as close to the body as you can. Or you can do that with a clean. You can do that with snatch. Just add some like
Yeah,
fun
we
words.
got to do some of it.
Yeah,
really.
I mean,
Like, it's-
even with the kettlebell swing, like you go one hand,
Yeah, you have-
switch it up
well,
to
that's
the
the
next, right?
Beautiful
And
thing
then-
with it is you have the single,
Yeah.
or you can have like the double loading. So it's like if
Yeah.
you're doing workouts, you can have what I've liked for my personal training clients, right? Is I could write one workout, and then have as I progress that client, I could just kind of add complexity by either adding a second dumbbell, a second kettlebell, and that like auxiliary hand.
Yeah.
Or I can just keep them suffering with just do unilateral stuff where there's just smoked.
So you say like clients, do you find that like what you train yourself is always a mirror onto your clients? Because like I do, like I love like basically what I'm doing. I like to like
what you're training, you're pretty much
like and you know that's a vague statement, but like what you know, well, you can adjust whatever to what they can do. But since I do more of like you know conditioning plus strength training or whatever, like I like is that something, like if you change your training, if you're like I'm gonna like get away from kettlebells completely, like are all your clients doing like kettlebell specific stuff only right now as you do it too?
No, and it's the classic coach answer. It depends.
Yeah.
The asshole answer of everyone. Just like, it depends, man.
Yeah.
But in this case, it really does, right? Because like if it always followed what I was doing, I feel like getting back to our original point, like it wouldn't be genuine. Right?
Yeah.
Like if it's only ever like train how I train, right? It's just like I'm selling a program at that point.
Yeah.
Because if it's just like I'm writing this for myself, and then I expect that this is going to work for 99% of the other people out there, right? Like I'm going to be a fool.
Yeah.
So in my humble opinion, right? So for me, it's always been my philosophy around it's been like if I haven't lived it, I'm not going to prescribe it.
Yeah.
Right. So I have to experience it first to be able to understand what that's going to do to me and my physiology.
Yeah.
So I can at least have like the theoretical, like I know the A1, A2, AB, right? Like the whole workout written out, sets, reps, cool. That's the nerd stuff.
Yeah.
But then have I actually done that workout?
Yeah.
Is the second question, right? Because I feel like that's where a lot of trainers stop.
Yeah.
Is they write their program and they're like, sick.
Yeah.
Send it.
Yeah.
Right. And like a lot of trainers don't guinea pig their programs out in a small subset of people or themselves or like their favorite friends and family. So that it's just, it falls a bit flat, I find.
For sure. Yeah. I know like, exactly. Like,
or you might miss an opportunity to explain why am I doing this, coach?
Totally. And you get like a totally different like output level too. Like, you know what that workout requires and like, you know, how hard it should be. Like, you know, you could just, you know, have a baseline for that difficulty of that workout too. Like now I don't really do any workouts with my clients, not to sound like a loser, but like a lot of the clients, if anything, you know, like at least, you know, the top level of that set workout as far as like my efforts toward it. So like you can always like adjust it to what they need or like, you know, with their abilities and stuff, but you can relate to them while they're doing it to be like, yeah, this part is hard, you know, like absolutely. I suffered through it. Like not saying that in a disrespectful way, but it's like, this is a tough part, you know, like don't worry. I think that slows down a little bit.
Well, that's a big thing that I think we need to kind of move back to, right? Is like, as coaches, I think we need to have pass fail systems.
But it goes to like, also like typical, like not to get on a rant about personal trainers, but it's like, it goes back to the typical, like if you got to look the part and like whether that like that's kind of general too, but it's like if you're not doing it, then how can you expect someone else to do it? And a lot of trainers just definitely don't. I'd say that's probably less common is for trainers to be tuned in with the workouts they're doing because they've gone through it already.
Absolutely.
Which seems crazy.
Yeah, it does seem a bit backwards. And I do get it. Like I do feel for it because there's been times in like my learning, right? Like when I first started, like when I was making basically template programs out of like body systems. Yeah. And just starting to sharpen my teeth on it, right? Because I was like trying to figure out again how I know how to do this for myself.
Well, you can also probably reflect on that and know that like that client, like you weren't providing. I'm speaking from even for myself. Like I know that when at that stage of my life, like that client could have gotten more out of what I had to provide if I as a trainer had more to offer.
Yeah, for sure.
I think like, I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, I think like I definitely felt that way. And I think it definitely reflected in like the prices I would charge at the time too.
Yeah, right? Totally.
Like,
I agree too.
I would give you like a month of programming for like $100.
Yeah, totally.
And it would just be like no tax because like I don't even want to like.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's when we started here. Like, you know, trainers, everyone was just like $25 a session. Like, dude, who cares? I know that's what I like. What would you? It's like the class. Like, what would you pay for this service type of thing?
I know
I'm
a bunch
like,
of like myself included. Like I know a bunch of my friends that like they're scared to even charge for their first like year or two in fitness, right? Because they're just taking friends and family under their wing.
Yeah.
Like I have one of my friends, Amy, who's doing exactly that. Like she just finished her schooling and she's been just kind of like, hey, I'll just take the pro bono cases because I want to again do my due diligence and I don't want to charge for.
From my experience too, like that, those like type of trainers are not. I don't want to say like far and few between, but like from a person that sees a lot of trainers, want to come or actually come and then go eventually is like a lot of people just aren't willing to like. I'm always like, even for people now, like this, I think I have something good to offer and it reflects in the prices and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like, I'd still always be like, yeah, come in for a session for free. Like, make sure you want it. Like, you know, kind of my rate's still, Like, I still want to
like how you treated me, even when like I didn't really know you, right? Like Jacob suggested like, hey, maybe go check out Ian's gym.
Yeah.
Like OIV at that time was getting busy where, again, you work out of a place, right? You don't want to train necessarily.
Exactly. No, that's a lot of people in the same situation.
And that was something I was definitely running into is like, I loved working in fitness, but I desperately wanted to have that like separation of
there's like, you know, 4, 5, 6 people down there that are at other gyms. And it's like, that's just, they can't like play where you work type of thing necessarily.
It's tough. And like, I've like some of the best gyms I've had a chance to work at, right? Like, like Movements is awesome. Like I've no bad things to say about them. Like OEV is great. Like all the stuff they have is like specific to them. And there's another gym like I used to in Guelph. Like, I don't know if you ever been to Cloet's gym, like the Blue Star gym.
I haven't been there, but obviously I know of it and stuff.
Sweet. Like everything's Arsenal strength. Like, everything's like powder dyed blue. His company.
It's just cool to see.
And
different types of gyms tailored to what they offer.
Yeah, but it's like you can spend as much time as you do training other people in those spaces. You could like, I was at like Adam's gym. I had the opportunity of getting in there like when before it was even open to the public, right? And I just didn't use it. Yeah. Because I was like, I spend so much time like working for this company and I spend so much time like being in this place for either photo shoots or helping with like some of the transformation challenges that we were doing back then. And there's that like burnout of like, oh my God, it's these same 4 walls. And
it's so like, it's weird. I used to have that hardcore. Yeah. Like, and granted it was a different time. I was in a different mindset. I was like training. It was like training for not necessarily the wrong reasons, probably just like, you know, just pay the bills and like, as many clients as you can, you know, it's just like more of like pay the bills type of mindset.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was always like, I got to go somewhere else and train. And for me, it's a lot of it came down to like distractions and like, you know, just vacuuming and like random shit that like only in the last like year I've been able to actually like separate from working out. But
I guess you lose the focus.
Yeah, it's just like, but it came down to that too, like just wanting a different space from where you are all day. And like contrary to that, what you're saying is like, I don't actually have any of that now. Like I haven't gone to another gym in a long time just because I guess, I don't have that like that sense of like being here all day, every day and wanting an out from it. And that's just like, as I hear us talk about this, that like, I don't genuinely have that urge to like,
that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.
You can always come up here too, right? Like some people when they're
true. Maybe gyms, if it's like, if I was sitting downstairs all day, it'd make a huge difference too.
Yeah, come to think of it, like I know Movements has like awesome lounging areas where they have that like little front section for like the clients. And as a trainer, I was able to kind of sneak off into the upstairs offices or the kitchen. Yeah. So like that gym, I really didn't have it. But yeah, come to think of it, like OEV didn't have like really
a separate spot
that was like separate, right? Like the coaching room was kind of like in the back of the gym, and then outside was for half the year too cold to be out there or too hot.
Yeah. But that's what I was circling back to that. Like I think a lot of people don't have that like mindset to like not necessarily prove themselves first before like I'll have like someone wants to come in for a consult and like, what do I charge them for that? I'm like, nothing. Like again, people may disagree, but like I'd be like nothing. And then on top of that, I'd like put them through a session or two for nothing, because at the end of the day, if you like try and sell someone right off the bat, in my mindset, again, people would definitely disagree with this, but like I'd much rather have a client who knows they want to be there for their time and to save my time, And like, I'd much rather have someone have a session for free or two, be
Yeah.
like, yes, 100%, this is what I want, or just save us both the time. And like, rather than just getting them to commit to 12 sessions or whatever, and then just be done at the
Disappear.
end of it.
Yeah.
It's like, as long as you know there's always clients and you can get clients in the door, then I find like you'll have that client, you know, for a lot longer than someone who like signed for a contract the first day in, and now they're like
Trying to backpedal
pulling
out
their
of it.
ass through like 12 sessions because they've already paid for it.
Well, I feel like the two things that we run into that we don't want, right, in like any gym setting is that you don't want a client that doesn't belong here,
Yeah.
right? Like if it's a complete mismatch of like
Yeah.
their morals don't align with
Yeah.
like my morals or my philosophy of my gym, like then absolutely, right? Like
And that's the biggest thing with with
I don't-
members.
right. So it's smart that you almost have like it's like a free pre-qualifier in a way.
Yeah, and with
Right, it's
members,
like
I'm like, you come in, try it out for a week or two.
Yeah.
Know you want to be there. I'd much rather you know you want to be here, because all my other members know they want to be here, whether they come 20 times a week or once a year. At the end of the day, they know that they want to be here.
Yeah.
Versus someone who, again, just signed for the month. They're like, you know, I don't know what kind of atmosphere that creates, because I give the people give a person the opportunity to like almost take themselves out before they, you know, whether it's not as cool as I thought or whatever the reasons are. Like it's much better probably for the overall
I mean,
atmosphere too.
But thinking through that, right? Like, would it make a difference if you had like an extra $100 or $200 in your pocket?
For me, because
that, like, trial period, probably not, right?
no, because no, I don't think so. I think there'll always be members that want to come. So, especially with having like a cap here on member count, it's like I know I only have a certain amount of memberships to fill, and again, that at the end of the day, if I get $100 from this guy for the month, and knows he's going to be done at the month, I'd much rather just get give him the opportunity, because that'll circle back in the future. He'll like remember that goes a long way. And if not, then he's committed and he knows this is the spot he wants to be, and he's there for, you know, indefinitely or just however long that period of time lasts
Definitely,
for.
I feel like you could pick it apart either way, right? Because
Yeah.
I think that you're definitely winning at the game, because like for example, like last year, like what you did for me and my wife, like was awesome.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we were going through a hard time, right? We didn't know anything about the gym really. The fact that it was like we got to kind of play around for like a month, and I think you actually ended up like extending it for like a week or two because I couldn't get in.
Yeah.
And,
I don't like.
So the fact that I
Well,
was
it
able to
goes
just
a
like
long way,
what
right?
goes
Right,
around
but-
comes
yeah,
around.
but
like,
it absolutely like it is a testament to just the generosity does come back in some way, shape, or form.
because even if you don't want to be here, like or whatever, like
Dude, I've told everyone about your gym.
I don't mean you. I meant like
No, but like
yeah,
but you-
right,
But
exactly.
even using me as like an n equals one, right? Like is like I'll never forget how I was treated.
100%. If someone's
And
like,
I'll pay that forward because like
Totally.
even though I didn't buy anything, like I've told everyone I could possibly get my
Word to
anyone
mouth,
that's
right?
exactly
anyone that's
it.
asked me
Yeah.
like, do you know a
versus
place I
someone
can
who like
do?
paid
Right.
their $100 because they had to commit, and then that person's not going to be like, you should go check out this gym, like super awesome guy,
Right,
super
right.
awesome
They
gym.
probably, like, just-
versus like, yeah, it wasn't for me, but like I know like 5 people that might be good for that. Just I think definitely what goes around comes around, and like again, people would disagree. Like people who really just like look at the numbers at the end of the day. It's like, yeah, but all those people who like, if you had 30 people over the year that like wanted to sign, like we did a trial but didn't end up signing up, how much extra like money is that? I'm like, it doesn't make a difference. I think at the end when it all like comes out in the laundry, because there'll still be someone to replace that spot, and
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's like,
I think at the end of the day is realistically just scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you guys to have an abundant mindset of
100%. Yeah.
You definitely look at things as like I have this big blue ocean.
Yeah.
that, like I have all these fish that I could save.
Yeah.
Right. And like I can only save so many fish that can fit on my boat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
My boat's going down in the ocean.
yeah.
Right?
And
So
like
it's
if you're
I
in
can
a
only scoop
position,
up 150, that's all I can serve.
Yeah.
Right. But like you set your whatever, you set everything up so it takes care of you, takes care of your family, takes
Yeah,
care of your
totally.
employees. You're set.
Yeah.
Versus like gyms that are maybe just starting out.
For sure.
Right. Maybe they're just trying to get their first like 20, 30 members.
yeah.
I could definitely see, because I felt it at times in my training career where like you're desperate.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
left my supplement job, had no income.
Yeah.
Right. Was like staying out of a random townhouse that I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pay next month.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
And
like,
so like every consult feels like life or death.
Yeah.
Because $250 in that world can make or break you, versus like you have a full gym, things are good, you've had like your finances coming in month over month, like there's no stress.
Yeah.
Right? Like you
Yeah,
definitely
but
have,
you've been
you have the
working-
opportunity
Yeah,
to
right,
relax a
it's
It's
little bit.
been like, you know, not
Yeah.
again, I get that. I get where gyms are like, no, we need to do this to do the lights on. Like that's fortunately, like that's not the position, and we've been able to grow slowly and like, you know, slowly come to the point and everything that it's at. But
Well, even the expansion of the gym.
yeah, for
At the
sure.
beginning, where you just started with like one room compared to what you have now, even the change for the last 2 years or 3 years that happened here.
I just I think it's just like it all goes back to the environment and the type of person that comes in, and
Right.
really like that's a prime example. Is like I really think that like if I know like I would like to think that a lot of people who tried it out or aren't members anymore still would have really good things to say and like recommend people that like to people that they think might be able to like this environment. Then like it's that'll go and like get way more people in the door in the long run versus like the other way. But I get it. I get when it's like necessity and like you just need to like, you know, bring in a certain amount because otherwise you're fucked.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's just like people are looking for different types of gyms, right? It's like
Absolutely.
right. That plays a big factor, right? They don't know what they're getting here, so the fact that you're giving them like, you know, a week trial, they'll figure it out. It's like, is it for me? Is it not? Am I here for a workout? Am I here to socialize? What I want, right? So it all depends on the people itself, right? They might come in and be like, this is awesome, like you said, or they might just be like,
and
whatever.
for me, like,
thanks for, you know, having me, see you later, this isn't for me, right?
when I give someone like a trial, I almost like, even to sound like, I don't know what the right word is, but I almost like want people to take it because I want them, like, I'm proud of how cool and unique and everything it is. So like, I almost use it as a week for the gym to show off itself to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus like, if you had a little place that you weren't in deep down proud of and like knew that like it was shit, but you just had to like fake it till you make it type of thing, then you might want to be like, oh, I got to get this person in and committed before they realize like what's not there or how lacking it is. So for me, a lot of it's like, trust me, come in, try it. If it's not for you, then it's really not for you. Otherwise, you're going to be like slowly more impressed and see like get to like explore around the gym and see like the cool environment and the people that it is.
Yeah.
Versus being, like I said, on the other end of it where you know
and the
that
people
like,
here do play a factor.
Yeah, oh,
I
that's
think it's
like
a
the biggest factor.
Biggest factor, right? I mean, the comfort of somebody coming in here, especially someone that's new or doesn't know what they get themselves into, right? It's just like the camaraderie, or you know, just people trying to help you out. You know, all those little small things play a huge role in what that person is going to decide.
Okay, we gotta. You know what I just thought of?
Yeah.
Next topic. I feel like the last couple podcasts have just been like
Gym.
Stroke the gyms, like
Yeah.
you know.
Fair.
I don't know what just clued in, but like,
What do you want to talk about?
But he doesn't know, though,
I know, but
right?
lately it's just been like how cool everything is, and like
Right.
it's, you know. Anyways, what got you into wanting to do podcasts?
Oh, dude. Podcasting has been something I've probably shied away from or put off for far too long. I want to say I probably sat on it for 4 years. Like ever since, like I really remember like sitting at movements ever since, I think it was even before movements. Can't remember what gym I was at, but I think it might have been Blue Star when I was in Guelph. But I just remember sitting like in the supplement store for 10-hour shifts and having 6 people a day come in.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And being like, still being like leading sales and leading other stuff, but like 6 fucking people in 10 hours, dude. Like,
So what you were
what do
just
you
like, I
do?
could do something
so
better
like in
with
the
my
shop, I
time,
was
or,
literally like, I was recording videos
Yeah.
of like talking about supplement products, and like always hated the video aspect of it.
Same.
Like it's just, I don't know if it's just self-hatred. It has to be.
It is though.
it's
Like I
just
think you're either programmed for it or
dude,
not. Like
I
that's
just
why going back to this, it's like I just do the bare minimum to like check it off the list as far as like what to post. But like,
oh yeah, I don't want to see what the fuck I look like.
I don't
though.
even
I'm
listen.
so happy.
I don't
screen flipped out.
I don't re-listen to anything or anything. Like I don't re-listen to any of the podcasts or watch them really because like same. Like I only recently have I been like, but it's just like plug and play. It's like.
No, I have to.
I still couldn't say, even just like, even with the stuff that you sound like you were doing, I was like, oh, that would just be so painful for myself to like get in front of a camera and like really.
Well, it was one of those like, I hated it, but my ops manager at the time like really pushed me to just like, he saw something in me that I didn't see. And he was like, you have the knowledge. Stop being a dragon that's sitting on the hoard of treasure.
Yeah.
Like stop gatekeeping, right? Like start actually just like letting go.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like because you just saw like you're a thinker.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
Was kind of like the lesson I pulled away from it, right? He's like, you could sit here all day, every day, right? Until the day you die. And like nothing will happen. Nothing will get actioned. Nothing will get checked off your list. No one's coming to save you.
Yeah.
So
Do something.
And it's still, and like, even though I had that pressure and I had like external pressure on it, like I knew I wanted to do something. Like I hate writing. So I was always kind of like throughout high school and throughout university, like had a little bit of like just reading and me did not get along.
Yeah.
Writing and me never got along. Like I could get through essays. I don't know how I read as much as I did, but I did.
Yeah.
But I love consuming things, and like if I'm going on a walk, like I'll take a podcast with
Yeah,
me or
yeah.
like an audiobook. Like I've always loved.
What
to
are
have,
like your top 3 podcasts listened to in the last month?
Oh man, I think Spotify last year was Revival Strengths podcast. Like Marcus Philly was one of them.
Yeah.
Which I think is Look Good, Move Well. For anyone that's curious, wasn't listening to Joe Rogan yet because that one this year is probably like taken number 1.
Yeah.
What else was I think I had like an astronomy podcast I listened to that just had like some things that I can kind of like upkeep with, just like space news or what was going on, what was kind of upcoming, any fascinations, like especially with the James Webb Telescope getting launched.
Yeah.
Like a few years back, like was kind of following along with that. And then I think I had one more that was like Huberman Labs.
Yeah.
Just like everything was kind of like science and technology that was captivating me for interest. And the podcasts I didn't get into that were science and tech or fitness were like philosophy podcasts or were more so, what was the one? Like racking my brain, it's gone now.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
Like
There's just
yeah,
so
like
many.
some comedy podcasts like here and there. Like I love those like Flagrant and like Andrew Schultz's podcast and other ones like that.
Do you listen to the Kill Tony ones?
I've watched a lot of the clips,
Yeah.
but I haven't actually sat
I've
down
been
to watch.
I
crossing
guess like
those.
is that
YouTube
considered a
episode.
podcast?
I think he does like it's a YouTube
It's a
show,
YouTube show.
and
Yeah,
then I
it's
think
more of
he
that now, yeah.
cuts it into a podcast as well, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we actually now saying that we usually do watch it
Yeah,
on
like
YouTube
I said, I haven't
for
watched
the
an
most
episode
part.
other than seeing bits on TikTok or Instagram and Reels.
It's awesome.
So do you have a time? Like, when's your first one? Like, do you how?
oh man, like it's
have
going.
you done one yet?
No, like it's like I've been on other people's
Yeah.
podcasts, which is kind of where like the thing. This is the second, fourth podcast maybe I've done.
Yeah.
But like it took a few to kind of like notice like the first one I was like something was here.
Yeah.
Like there's something to tap into
So
here.
even the ones you've been on or whatever, like, are they super structured or like, is it one topic based or?
The one was where I know when I did a podcast with Movements and Isaac, like he had a bunch of questions kind of lined
Yeah.
up, and he's very like man is just a god with timing. So
Yeah.
like I think he just had like maybe 12, 15 questions written out and was just kind of like a rapid fire.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he always does like a segment where it's like just rapid fire, like first thing that comes to mind, right? Like, what do
Yeah.
you like more, kettlebell swings or power cleans?
Yeah.
Right. And you just kind of like answer as fast as you can.
Yeah.
I sucked at it. And I took way too long. I was like, come on, dude. Like,
This is defeating
rapid
the whole
fire, man.
purpose.
Like, you're dragging a bit. So yeah, his was like super meticulous, right?
Yeah.
Where like you could tell like he sits there and probably like planned out what questions am I going to ask? Like, who am I interviewing?
Yeah.
What do I want my members, my audience to like hear as a message? Again, this is back to me being a thinker, right? Of thinking every angle.
Yeah. So do you like when you kind of think about how you want yours to be? Is it like
Oh,
that?
the opposite.
Or is it like kind of like this almost like?
No, I kind of want to. I don't really want to, again, with the paralysis analysis, knowing like my brain just goes that way.
Yeah.
I think I'm actually going into it with less planning.
Yeah.
Because I think that's going to give me more of a chance of success. Whereas like I'm going to kneecap myself before I even start. If I try and pigeonhole myself.
Yeah.
And I haven't done it, right? So like I truly don't know what it's going to be because I haven't built it yet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So like until I literally sit down either alone or with someone else, like whether it be through a Zoom call or kind of like this, right?
Yeah.
Like, I truly don't know
Yeah.
what it'll be or
More of a
it'll turn into.
conversation, less of an interview type of thing.
Yeah, like because I don't think interviewing is cool and all, but I don't know. There's something about like being in the moment and having that liberty to.
Well,
just
at least
go off
like
script.
with something that's when you, I don't like, at least with this kind of thing, like even like you can, at least if you start with a little bit more of a casual approach, you could still sit down and interview someone.
Yeah.
You know, like pretty straightforward and have like, you know, if it's a serious topic or if that's just kind of the known agenda for that podcast versus I feel like going the other way, like if you were known to be more of an interviewer podcast, it'd be like really hard, let alone odd for the audience when you just like, oh, you guys like, what do you guys are just hanging out on the couches today? Like,
right.
you know, I feel like it would be super easy for us to go, okay, this is somewhat of a serious podcast. I got 50 questions. Let's run through them. I wanted like certain topics or specific topics versus, again, being in an interview style and then like switching it up to be like freestyle might be a little like limiting.
I guess I could also kind of see where like having something structured might, if you have a bigger like following, right?
Yeah.
And, like, if someone's coming on being like nervous, because I definitely felt that way for my first one.
Yeah.
Where like it was just we're in a basement. There's 2 microphones, a long table, right? Some like curtains draping around. And I was like, I know no one's here listening other than us.
I know, but it still
like,
is.
My heart rate was like 125, sitting there, just like sweating, like palms going. I'm like, what is happening to me? Like it's
that's
it's as
what,
if
like even
my body was like, his eyes going to walk through that door and punch you in the face. Like,
For myself, it's like you slowly develop like some sort of structure as well. Like, although we haven't really yet, like it slowly does. Like, I think you want to provide a good, even conversation without like it being super structured. But I think there's an aspect of like organizing it and planning it in a way that still allows for a genuine free conversation.
Good conversation,
like, you still have like, as that's probably just as you get better as like a host or whatever it is, then you know like a smooth way or smooth approach at it too.
Learning by doing.
Yeah, that's it really.
And that's and I think that's where I'm trying to kind of lead it. Right, is like I definitely want to be in that camp.
Yeah.
I don't want to kind of
and
kill myself before I start. Right, like I just want to start doing it.
Yeah, just doing it because you enjoy doing it, not that it feels like
because there's
you
so
have
many years
expectations.
of like putting it off, right? Whereas, or just not actioning it. So I feel like it's kind of hit a critical mass now where I'm like, all right, just push that ball over the rest of the hill. Like it's already on the ledge. So just see what happens. Because like there's nothing left to lose.
Yeah, exactly. And like at the end of the day, who cares what people like? That's what we keep saying.
Right.
No one
It's just
listens
like,
to it. Then
Oh, dude, the other day I literally went through my contact list. This is how much of a sociopath I am. Like scrolling through my contact list, being like, cool. I don't talk to 90% of the people on my contact list anyways. Fuck them all.
Yeah.
Like, so what? Like my mom and dad's going to see this and be like,
Yeah. But if it's like, that goes to the whole, like, even just getting in front of a camera and stuff. It's like at a certain point, I think people, whether they develop it early on or don't at all, it's like, if if you're solid with yourself, then like who gives a shit what other people think? Yeah.
And I think that's a lot where this year has kind of led me, right? Is like, I think past couple of years, like definitely wasn't sure of myself, like wasn't sure of like what I wanted to do. Didn't really have, I'm sure you guys felt that way too. Where you feel more pushed around by life than in control of it.
Yeah.
Where you're just kind of like, like where I landed here, but I'm not sure how I got here. Right. Like, do I actually enjoy being here? Right. And when you have like those awakening questions, right, I think like that's a big aha of just like, oh shit, I'm in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
And then you have that quick scramble that again could lead to that like feast or famine mentality of I don't want to do this, I have to do something else. And now
it's all forced.
I've already quit. I don't have anything else lined up, right? Like it can go real south real quick. But I think if you have more of a vision around it and you have like that belief, right? Of now I feel the most confident I ever felt. And it's 100% of it's just come from feeling
Yeah,
secure.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Of
yeah,
just feeling
for
secure
sure.
and like the home life is good.
Yeah.
Right. Like everything health wise with us is good. Like the family, we had some scares there in the past, but like that's all
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Thank knock on wood that it is. Right. And like, so like that stuff being super secure now.
Yeah.
It's even taken months for that like fog to kind of wear off of like, oh, you're not in fight or flight.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
waking up at 4:30 in the morning where I'm like immediately jumping out of bed, like
Yeah.
someone's going to punch you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
no, like calm down. Like nothing's
Yeah.
the matter. Like you're fine.
Yeah, I
Things are
still.
good.
It's like, and then the same token, like it's funny you say that because like that some of that never. There's some of that like just keeps you going always too. Like
Oh yeah. I
for
think
instance, like last night, just laid in bed. I was like, why am I stressing about this right now? Like you just can't. And then you're like in your own. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a healthy aspect to
but
like
back
you
to
know.
being in front of the camera stuff. Explain to me why I can be on stage at Rum Runners in front of 600 people with people taking videos of me. I could do that no problem. Why this is stressing me?
I don't know. That's what I was going to ask you is like, cause like playing, like, you know, performing is like, there's got to be a clear difference. Like maybe it's like,
It's not me.
what do
It's
you mean?
not just me.
It's
I think that's the thing I've noticed is like when I'm up there with the band,
yeah.
it's not just
Right.
me,
Yeah.
right? So
You're
it's
not
like
sole, you're-
it's not my ambitions,
Yeah.
It's not my desires, right? It's I'm a servant to the band,
Yeah.
in that regard, and like, right, like even wording that one, it's like, right, I'm not subservient to the band. It's not like I'm this weak-willed bitch that's like, oh, I'll do
But,
what you
like,
guys
okay,
say.
I'll give you
But
this,
it's-
though.
But for me, it just kind of comes across as like I feel like I'm playing on a part of like an athletic team.
Yeah.
Right? And it feels like I have my role, I have my directive, I have a specialty that the other players don't have.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
totally.
it's my job to show up as prepared and as professional as possible.
Yeah, like if you
So
didn't
I can
know your
sound-
role or didn't
make
weren't
everyone else feel
confident-
better and make
weren't
everyone else
confident
sound
in your
better.
role, then you would feel that anxiety probably too, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I've had that.
Yeah.
Right? Like I've had some
Yeah.
gigs that like
You didn't prepare the best for and stuff.
Well, even just right, like for me, like jumping into the band stuff was fairly recent. Like that was 2020.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you too. Is like, okay, that's you compare that to like performing somewhere there. Like, did you feel that at the beginning?
Oh yeah. Because like the first, give you an example. Like the first gig I played with Solaris was not Rummers, Ribfest
Yeah,
in London. So
Were you
my
just shitting your
first show
pants?
was like fucking 2,000 people watching us.
yeah,
Right, like not everyone like eyes on, right? Like there might have
Right.
been
Yeah.
like 170 people actually looking at us, and then like 600 people in the rib line being like,
quickly judging.
Yeah.
"Who the fuck's that little man?" Like right, like chowing down on some ribs, and they look up and they hear just like, dun,
too
dun,
loud.
dun, 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 and they're like, "Weird." There was a folk band just before then.
Yeah.
So that was weird because it's.
But like, how did you feel doing that? Like, were
That
you
one was
like nervous? Yeah,
Nervous.
So
Yeah.
so
like,
it's the same thing here,
because
right?
you get like you know,
But it was more manageable in a way.
yeah,
It didn't
A
feel
different
as
type
like
of
all
anxiety?
consuming.
yeah,
Was the thing I kind of noticed, right? Because I was there, my band was all there.
Yeah.
Like we had like whether I liked it or not, like it was like, hey, it's your time to set up. You have like 15 minutes to get all your gear on stage and like plug everything in. So it's like there comes this point where you're almost like pushed by the staff of the event, where it's like, oh no, like it's your time to go
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Right. It's like you can't really run away.
yeah.
At
gotta
that point.
start
I don't know,
So-
man. You hear shit about like people
And-
being like, maybe is a separation between, excuse me, podcasts and like something where you're performing or like doing your talent or something like that versus podcast. But like, there's probably always that aspect of like, it's like starting a race, like anything. There's always that like, no matter how awesome you feel, it's like 5, 4, oh shit, 3, 2, 1, go.
Go.
Like, there's
Well, it's-
probably always a healthy amount of like nerves there. I don't know how that would be different from like,
It's definitely lessened over the years too. Which
Yeah.
is what I've noticed, which like I think with any skill, any high performance thing, I think it is just like everyone says, right? It's like if you just touch it often
Yeah.
and,
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
and you do it and you have like contact points with it often,
yeah,
then again, some of that anxiety, it never goes away.
Yeah.
But I think it lessens
Yeah.
to some
But
degree where it's
now you feel like you'll have a little bit, you'll be nervous a little bit, I assume.
yeah, but I mean,
But
like,
not to the extent as you were playing your first.
No.
Right?
No.
It's still there, like you said, but not
no, but
as
it was,
extreme as it was at the beginning.
yeah, to give you an example, like we played a headliner show in I think it was 2022 in like December, and we like fully sold out Rum Runners, like
Yeah.
the front side of it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
That show, like prior to that show, that was anxiety inducing, even though like it had already been kind of like second band year, like a lot of shows under the belt. Like we'd gone to even like other cities to like tour around and go to like venues like I've never set foot in, like random dive bars, random venues here and there. Going back to your hometown and knowing like there's no more tickets.
Yeah.
And like walking out on stage and it literally being like from the gate to the back bar.
Yeah.
Of it, just like we have this one photo that we took like at the end of the set, and like I fucking love. I have it framed on my desk.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because every day I look at it, and every day I'm like, I can't believe we fucking did that.
Yeah.
Especially in our hometown, right? Because like
right.
now the goal is kind of shifted to, all right, now I want to play the other side of not Rum Runners, right? But I want to play like the music hall side where they redid it, and now it's like beautiful.
So how often do you guys like? You guys perform often?
It's been on a little bit of a hiatus the last like year and a half. Our drummer had a kid.
Oh yeah,
like 2 years back, 3 years back. I don't know. Time flies.
Yeah.
And then
I know.
the songwriter of the band, Lucas, like he just had his kid last year too. Yeah. So a little bit of like baby season.
Has it changed as far as just like call it local artists performing? Like, is it on an incline, decline at this point in time? Like maybe. I don't know if after COVID is probably relevant now, but like,
oh, dude, like that headlining show I just talked about, like that was when the COVID restrictions in December lifted for the 3 days. We played that was when the show was.
Oh wow!
We had it planned. It was like we didn't know if it was going to get canceled or not because it was like restrictions down, no live music, no live events, like no leaving your house, right? Like that whole mandate.
Yeah,
and then it was like there's like literally like a week opening. I think it was like the week before Christmas, where it was like the 17th, like they're like greenlit it.
Yeah.
And then we had like a few days to pull it off and like got the show. And then like within like the next 2 days after the show ended, it was like back to home lockdowns, back to masking up, back to everything.
Yeah.
So like live music during that time was dead completely. And we were basically like, at that point we had an album out that we were like chomping at the bits to try and promote.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, worked out well, but at the same time it was kind of like bad timing for life stuff.
But it's kind of back to status quo as far as just like local performers performing at places, and
but it's awesome how Lucas kind of and Sarah kind of run the band, where they'll pick shows and we'll kind of just share it and like with everyone, like, hey, do you want to commit to this? Like we're very adamant about the fact that like it's not a professional band. Right? It's like a passion project.
Gotta work for everyone.
But it's been cool because like as a passion project, it's been growing really, really well. And with that, like, it's just kind of taken a life in its own. Like,
so even when you say it like that, and like people like, is there big aspirations for it?
No,
it's just like enjoy it right now. Like, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, that's very much so. Like the mindset of it is, if we like the music and we enjoy playing it and we enjoy like rehearsing it,
then you'll just keep going.
Then it's like I hope, right, like our fans or whoever listens to the music will like it, and that seems to be kind of the consensus around the band. Is like Lucas and Sarah will write stuff. Like our singer will kind of write her own ballads. Like she'll do a lot of piano and like vocal.
Yeah.
Lucas will put together a lot of like the instrumentation for the songs and kind of organize it. And just wicked. So like some here and there I'll get like a demo where I'll start to like get to learn some parts, or I'll try and put my own spin on like some of the bass lines he's written. And then it just becomes a little bit more of a collaborative effort from there.
So how many like different songs have you got? How many songs have you guys like?
3 albums out, 4th album on the way. Should be hopefully around December.
There ever been a song, one particular one, even more than one particular album that's like
blown up?
Like or multiple. I mean, no, like
you want to pull it up?
Essentially the highest one. Yeah. Is it like
The Keeper?
Does it have like?
It almost hit $1 million.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So like I said, like during
no way. I don't mean that.
No way.
It's like in an awesome way.
I can't believe.
So you guys still get together and practice weekly? 2 weeks.
It used to be like when we're getting ready for
The Keeper.
Yeah, The Keeper, Solaris. You might have to put in. Yeah, we're not that well known.
SAL
SOL
SOL
RUS. Here it is. It was a really cold video shoot.
Looks cool.
That's what I was telling you about last time, where I'm like, do not do not book a music video in February in North Ontario. It was negative 17.
Oh, this you're kind of think you're telling me
it was
about
negative
this a little
17 when
bit.
we got there, and I think by the end of the day, it was like with wind chill, like negative 32.
Oh.
So is there anything that like I'm curious? It's always like, was this just like purely this like? Is there something that happened that like catapulted this song more than others, or just like everyone liked it just as much as you did? Like, did you know this was gonna happen?
No,
or
no,
like,
we didn't know at all. And with this album, I think the one thing that might have catapulted it a little bit is we had an earlier song that was going to be a single that Lucas had hired like another vocalist to actually like do scream tracks on the album. Like she's the front woman for another band. I think they broke up now, but they were called The Agonist.
Okay,
and they're just
okay.
out of they're awesome. Really, really like heavier band than us for sure. And she has that ability where she was able to do like opera vocals and also like the grunts and growls that you can get away with in metal. And our vocalist Sarah she's just like classically opera trained.
Yeah.
So beautiful voice, but like I think she's a little fearful of learning how to do like some of the scream stuff.
Yeah.
Because it can change your voice.
I was gonna say
it's
because it will change
And
slash
I think
ruin
well,
it.
there's the worry that like you can damage your vocal
Yeah, yeah.
cords. There's a risk involved with learning how to use your glottal structures for those like distorted vocals.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing it right, you can absolutely like damage your vocal cords,
And then you're done.
Yeah, and then as a singer, right, if that's
You just
what
can't go
you
back.
do, like she's gone to school for like music and recording and all that stuff. So it's for her, it's like, yeah, I don't want to fuck with my instrument. My instrument is me.
Yeah.
Right.
Of
Whereas for
course,
me, it's
yeah.
like my bass. I could buy a new bass if it breaks.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. That fucking shot. So if you back it up a few seconds, you can see exactly. There's no Adobe After Effects. This is the wind chill. I was trying so hard not to drip snot on my bass during that shot because like my nose was just going. Yeah. So there's no After Effects, man. That was just like
Pure
the snow squalls going.
snowstorm. That's funny.
How did it start? The very beginning.
The band? Or
Yeah.
I don't know because I wasn't at the inception of it.
Oh, really?
Like they started back in 2017 and I joined 2020. So I joined when they lost their bassist and they lost their drummer.
Okay.
Nick was actually my drum teacher and he moved out to Kenora, Ontario. Mark played bass before me and he moved out somewhere in BC. So it was actually like I shared a jam space with Lucas and Troy and Chris and was just kind of like in the vicinity where I just jokingly, like I was in the room literally tuning my drums.
Hey, come on.
Like I was
come on
there
in.
because I was like tearing down my drum set so
Yeah.
Chris can audition for the band. So like it was just like a weird freak accident where like I just happened to be in our jam room the same day that like Lucas and Troy dropped in to like audition Chris as the drummer. And they were like, awesome, well you're in. So we still need a bassist. And like quietly from the corner of the room, I was like,
I
I
play
can
bass.
do it. Right. And like, because like I play guitar, I play drums. I started playing piano when I was really young.
Yeah.
I don't play piano anymore, but it kind of catapulted me into wanting to pick up an instrument. Because my piano teacher was like, you're playing this like a drum kit. Like you're hitting the keys way too hard. Like, have you thought about guitar? And so my piano teacher, after a year of trying to teach me, was like, you shouldn't do this. Right. So I was like, that felt great.
There's a better instrument for you.
So I picked up a guitar because I was like, what can I annoy my parents with? And electric guitars kind of seemed to fit the bill because I could crank it if I wanted to, or I could plug in like headphones into my amp if I wanted to.
That's
be
one
shit
thing I
and
never
learn.
like. I wish. I'm super envious. Like I haven't done it, but I also probably don't have the talent for it. It's just any instrument.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know how to
like,
play any instrument.
Me
Nothing.
neither. And I not that I regret it, but I definitely like have an envy for people who can just like.
Like piano, for example.
And I'm not
Like,
saying I
that's
can't do it, but
awesome
I
when
definitely
people-
like whatever it is. I just don't think I definitely like
It's cool.
people
Did
that
you ever
play
have a
instruments.
moment that like, did you ever have a family member that played, or did you ever have like a moment of like, fuck, I wish I knew how to play that one?
No, not really. I don't know where. Not
Like if you had an instrument, what would you play?
Well, I would if I had
If
an
you-
instrument to
like, just your
choose that I
interest.
could
Yeah, yeah.
like it would be piano.
I
Probably.
think so too. I don't know if that's a
100%, 'cause it
default
just-
thing to say from someone who doesn't play, but like
Or drums. Drums are cool.
Yeah.
I see
drums.
people just go ham on the piano,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, that.
Oh,
sounds,
yeah.
I think it's because it sounds so like appeasing too and everything, but like those people that can just like, you know, are professionals on the piano.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. And it also lends me to like when like I've bought a little guitar for Tatum and like, you know, just I put stuff in front of her to see if she'll like
Take to it.
make because it's a lack of what I did, but it's also like there's a lot. I'm sure it's like anything that a kid specifically can like focus on like that is good. So like I'll just keep going and then a bunch of something will stick.
Or like if
basically,
somebody
but-
just like, you know, is sitting on the bonfire and someone pulls out a guitar and starts playing,
yeah.
like that's so cool.
Yeah.
You know?
That was kind of like my aha. I was just
Right.
like, oh, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
One of my brother's like older friends, Marty, he used to be able to do that where he like pulled out an acoustic guitar and like within be like hum a song.
Yeah.
Right? And you'd like hum a Green Day song or you'd like hum like
And he'd just have it.
something, right? Like this melody. If you're like, I don't know like what the name of the song is, but it kind of goes like this. And like within 3-4 strums,
Yeah.
he knows like exactly where on the fretboard it is. He knows
I
exactly
don't,
like
I haven't.
and
Again,
so I never had that.
Yeah.
And it always like I had so many friends that were into music that were just like leagues ahead of me at the time.
Yeah.
It was the same thing as like what I saw the gym as, right? Where
Yeah,
like
yeah.
fuck, like I'm 16 getting into it. Like same thing with guitar. I think I started around like 16, 17.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I'm late to the party. And like it's just not true. Like I thoroughly do believe like you might have an easier time picking it up when you're younger just because like your brain and your
You don't
body
care
just
if you're
seems
not
to-
good. Like
not
or
even
like
that. I think it's like
you're more malleable.
You're more malleable, right? And like your brain development and just it's
Yeah.
easier to pick up skills when you're young versus like when you're past 25, right?
Probably.
It's just a little bit more of a chore
Yeah.
to like ingrain because now you have responsibility and you have other things that are vying for your attention, right? So it's like it's easier as a kid because you could literally, if you want to play 8 hours a day, you can. That's what I did with the drums. So like I never had had a few mentors.
Yeah.
But other than Nick showing me like how to tune my snare drum and how to hold my sticks properly, I really didn't have like someone guiding me.
Yeah,
through it.
yeah.
It was a lot of like self-discovery behind like the drums or playing music, right? And just trying to figure out like, what is he doing? Like, how do I do that? Like YouTube University kind of stuff. Like trying to find like free lectures or lessons online. And then drums were awesome. Like that was definitely the one I like resonate the most with.
Yeah.
And it's definitely the most intuitive where it's like, if you just have a knack for rhythm or if you have a knack for like, I need to move my crazy out of my body and I need to just like hit something and get some aggression out. Like it's a phenomenal instrument for that. Yeah. Cause it's like, it's a workout. Like
Physical
especially if
too,
you're playing like what Chris plays with like the double pedal work, like you're running
Your
seated.
feet and your hands are moving.
Yeah, and it's like
at the
there's
same
there's been
time.
times I've had like 180 beats per minute like on a drum kit.
Yeah.
And like I'm just looking at my heart rate being like, yeah, I'm maxing out right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But it's you play like something at 220 beats per minute and you're just
Going.
holding down like 30-second notes in the kick. That's just
Yeah.
hold that for
Probably,
3
yeah,
minutes
yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like
Yeah.
like I'm happy the drum mics aren't facing me because it's just sucking air.
Wow.
So instruments have been cool. But yeah, it was never planned either. Just kind of like picked one up and it just became like a Rubik's Cube to me. Like the guitar and the piano were very much so a Rubik's Cube and still are today.
That's cool though, for sure, because people just like just see the different talents people have just to like and go through that process.
Well, I'm still chasing that dragon of just like my friends that have that like ear for it. Right?
Yeah.
Like you could build it. Like I had zero skill when it came to having like a musical ear for like, oh, sing me that melody. Oh, that's an A flat, right? When people can just immediately be like, oh, it's G sharp. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like they know it.
Yeah. And
So how do you even learn that?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems to be like for some people, it just seems to be intuitive.
Yeah.
Where it just seems to be like they have a sensory advantage.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Or
like
they're
the
just
people
wired
who
in a
do
slightly
it
different
and they
way
don't
where
even,
they just, it seems to like, oh, like I just, end of day, like I guess an easy way to kind of digest it for you guys is it's a language of 7.
yeah.
Right? So it's like there's 7 keys and there's 7 notes in every key. And it's just certain keys omit certain notes, right? So there's certain like flat tones or sharps and flats that you would avoid. And there's no magical formula for it really. Like that is music theory in a nutshell is you have what's called like the circle of fifths. So you have like a diagram that basically shows you like what's directly across will fit.
Yeah.
So you just go like 4 or 5 positions down and like that's your next
See,
step.
that's cool.
Yeah, but I'm
And so-
also
But
in
it's
one
like-
ear and out the other.
Yeah,
like,
And so,
It's like-
but it's the same for me, right? It's like,
Yeah,
Because
I
like
get
I could talk about it, right? But it's like, until I actually like pick up a guitar and like you hear it, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then you start to, it's a lot about like relationships on like one string, or like with the piano, it's like one segment of 7 keys.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you're just basically looking at like, oh, where do I have that start over again? Oh, okay, that's the same note as here, just an octave up or an octave down. Right. Whereas with a guitar, it's like you chop up that keyboard and you now stack it horizontally and diagonally and vertically.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah, not that it's making sense, but I could see how you could slowly teach
no,
yourself
but
that
in your
stuff.
brain, right? Like
Yeah.
that's, you have to start to kind of understand like, how does this
So you're
instrument
breaking everything
function
down. Yeah.
And then when you start to I think that's where a lot of people have that disconnect, because I know some guitarists that have like no theory
Yeah.
knowledge, and then like me,
Yeah.
where you're just kind of like barbarian your way through it, of you kind of like hit notes until you find something that sounds good in a relationship to that other note you played. And then you're like, oh, maybe that's a chord, maybe not.
Yeah,
right. Like
yeah.
you don't really know the rules of the game. So you're just
Yeah.
kind of going. And then you could have a guitarist that knows only theory and sounds like they are just out of a cardboard box because they play everything that's ever been played before.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
right,
yeah.
it's just like, it's the same shapes and it's the same, like there's nothing new to it. You're doing your job. You're playing theoretically.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But there's no creativity.
Yeah.
There's
yeah,
no,
totally. Yeah.
You're not injecting any of yourself into the music.
Yeah. Emotion.
So for
and
me, it's like
everything.
I'm trying to find somewhere in the middle, and I don't know if I'm wasting a lot of time by learning about this stuff, because as I've lost you in like the last 2 minutes.
No, but like it is like again, it no one would be it'd be like me
But no,
talking
yeah.
about certain like
Absolutely.
applications of different things where it's like there's no way. But even just like even that little bit of what you said on the like
But yeah, there-
different like
Yeah, there's like,
Yeah.
as long as you
that's
understand,
more
like,
than I've been ever like maybe I've been taught it before in somewhere along the line, but like
Yeah.
that's literally the
Your
1% of
basics.
what I know
Yeah.
about music now is what you just told me in the last 2 minutes.
There you go, man.
So it's like
have fun with it. Yeah, you'll be listening to like
Did
there'll be
you
a
know?
guitar in the corner
Yeah,
in the
and
next
like,
one.
did you
It's
know?
like
there's just guitars every like 3 feet.
I bought like every single one you could buy. That's the right move, right?
Man, fucking rad.
Fuck.
No, but it comes back to like, once you know a little bit, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like anything that you want to pick up, like knowing 20% of the knowledge will get you 80% of the results.
Yeah.
Right. It is like that classic saying of just like, if I know a little bit about it, like it is painful to learn that little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. But like once I understand that, or like with DNA, right, it's the same thing where it's like, it's a language of 4. Right?
Yeah.
Like CGAT.
Yeah,
So
obviously.
as long as I understand like I have
that is.
random pairings within that.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a language.
Yeah.
It's a very simple language. Where like it's, whether it be 4, whether it be 7, whether it be like, right, our alphabet of however many, right, 25, 26, I don't
Yeah,
fucking know.
Yeah, I think it's like fuck, we're
Yeah, I'm
idiots.
just like,
We're just a bunch of meatheads in here. But as long as you just start to kind of see, right, the combinations, and you start to see like patterns within those combinations,
Yeah.
and then it starts to kind of slowly make sense. With it being a physical instrument too, I think it helps like not only seeing it, but then hearing it.
Have immediate
And
feedback.
literally
almost.
feeling it like resonate around, like against your body, or if with a drum kit where you feel it like through every bone.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot easier to then like, oh, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I'm doing wrong.
That's impressive, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's amazing. Any instrument,
I'll just
any
do the
instrument. Just-
Triangle.
Yeah.
And then we'll
Ding,
we'll
ding,
bring
ding.
you up stage.
Yeah.
I'll cut my bass solo, so you just triangle solo.
No, that's awesome, man. It's,
Going back.
instruments.
I just have been thinking of this when you met. Have you ever done anything like triathlon wise?
Triathlon, no.
Okay.
No.
Because you mentioned earlier, and I was like,
No, I have like one of our buddies of the band, like he does a lot of triathlons. But like he's always going around like to the Ironman ones,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like wherever they're held, right? Like he'll train, he'll post about all of it, and like post his times, post how he did. So
he's in London.
yeah.
What's his name?
Will?
Would I know? Probably not.
I'm not
Where's
sure.
he train or like?
Maybe I think he's just independent. I think he's on his own.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he loves biking. Like he's on his cycle most of the days.
Nice.
I'm not sure if he's doing any weighted stuff. Really don't know.
You don't really like need it. You know that whole world. It does. A lot of those guys don't do a lot of. Like,
Yeah, I'm getting to that age where everyone's around me is being like, "Hey man, have you done a triathlon?
You wanna go
yet?"
for
I'm
a
like,
run?
Please stop. Right? Everyone's like starting to do Spartan races. Like people that have never done fitness are
Yeah,
now
yeah.
like, "Hey man, like you want to come to my boot camp?" I'm
Your
like,
cousin from
I've
like,
taught enough boot camps. Fuck off.
Yeah.
but you done none of those?
No,
Nothing,
no, like, I've-
marathons, nothing.
My girlfriend's run marathon.
Okay.
Like she's the marathon runner in our relationship.
She's doing the one next weekend.
No,
By
like
chance?
she's been off with the health stuff for the last like 2 years, but yeah, like she did. What was it? That damn hill around Springbank.
Oh yeah,
When they had that, like that was a marathon she run. She did. She's done like a few CrossFit tournaments, like a UG series, like up in Collingwood. Like done that.
yeah.
I think there was another like half marathon she ran around here too.
Nice.
Signed up for a few. Like Movements is a big running gym too, right?
Is
like they
it?
do a lot of CrossFit and a lot of like functional fitness. They also they have their like run program. So
Yeah.
she was, I think, part of that where like her coach was kind of just
That's
like, hey,
what
come
we've
run with
been
me.
trying to like typical meatheads trying to run the last year or whatever.
A few months
Yeah.
for me, at least.
Should made
For
like
the ones who, at least we all suck together, basically.
would have been a good vlog.
Oh, no, yeah. You should see it. I know. You know what, though? It's not like... It's a lot of the runner... Like, there's a good mix. A lot of the people here are good runners, too.
Yeah.
It's just like... Luckily, they're nice enough to wait for me.
Yeah. It's good when you and I run.
Kind of.
like-
You're still like...
Behind?
No.
Ahead?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I just go to finish. I don't go to
Yeah.
make sure I can
Hey,
operate
it's
the
all
next
about
day.
finishing, man. That's all it is.
Train.
It's all good old train.
Nice little ambience.
Yeah. And I do have the window open, so it doesn't help, but nice.
So when's the next show? You don't know.
Yeah, do you have one scheduled?
Next show is actually in BC.
Oh,
Wow.
I won't be able to make that.
No, it's fucking weird. Yeah, out of all the hiatus that time that we've taken, right? Like that opportunity presents itself that like we're like, oh, we're taking a year off. And as we do that, we had a promoter reach out from like BC that was like, hey, we're playing a show like out here, like
Is it like a festival?
festival.
Or something?
Yeah. So like, it's like
But you
two-
still, you just said you're coming out with a new album, though. You guys still have been working, though, right?
Yeah, just kind of behind behind closed doors. Like we're a little bit like spread out, right? So like our singer lives up in like Caledon, like up north.
Okay.
Our like guitarist lives out west. So it's comes. It's getting together is a little bit tougher.
Oh.
So when we have like rehearsals, like the rhythm, what I call like the rhythm section minus our lead guitarist, all lives in London.
Okay.
So like Troy, Chris, our drummer, myself, we'll meet up at the jam studio and we'll just kind of do rehearsals like once, twice a week if we know a show's coming up. Because it's like I said with those touch points is you just have to be fresh.
Yeah.
And you have to do it often. So you just have to get together as a group and you just have to like. So we try and just sync up as much as we can, the three of us.
When's that show
And Sorry,
When's that show in BC?
I should probably know this.
Like, it's not. Oh, yeah. So it's not. Is it
should-
in the new
I'll get-
year?
Yeah, it's gonna be next year. I think I should
Put him
probably
on a
get the
spot here.
exact date. I know.
Yeah.
I didn't know I'd have opportunity for promotion.
I don't know if we've gotten that far though across
Oh,
the globe.
boy.
For
Hey, you never know.
No, definitely not.
you never know. We do have one client member, ex member that lives out there.
Oh, yeah, we do.
That's about it.
As I'm trying to find this.
I mean,
Sorry, guys.
just make up a date. I guess you don't want to, because then it's like not good
Yeah.
either.
People are going to be like, hey, man,
Give
I'm
everyone
out in BC.
I want
Where
to know
you
when
guys
that
at?
show is.
Yeah.
Hyperspace Metal Festival, April 10th to the 12th, Vancouver, BC.
Nice.
There we go.
Awesome.
Solaris, come see us.
There you go.
Shameless plug.
That's what we're
Now
here
back to the
for.
show.
Yeah, commercial.
Thanks for a sponsor.
It's funny. I keep wanting to like low key do it. Like I gotta. This comes down to like slowly like chipping away at making it 1% better. But like I gotta do. I want to do a thing that's like sponsored by Showtime, like this health or like fitness
Sponsored
in general.
by,
You really
Like,
should.
Pizza Project.
Yeah, I should. Yeah, exactly. Pizza
You
Project.
absolutely
like,
should.
Yeah, I know. I it's
If you had a chance, of
almost as
doing-
like a joke at first because like
Yeah.
you know what this sponsors
Okay.
by Showtime Fitness. Like
Let me ask you this question: if you had a chance to do an ad read, if any like company that you loved reached out, who would be like your company that you'd want to work with?
fuck.
Oh, my
That's
goodness.
a good question.
That's a great question.
Mine at this point in time would probably be like Element or like Vivo. If
Yeah.
either of those guys were like, hey, like here's some shoes, like you don't have to pay $300 for a pair. I'd be like, thanks guys. Like that'd be great.
I don't know.
Just
like,
to have like a few. I literally have like 2 pairs of shoes, and like they're always
Always
smelling
the
awful.
same.
So I'm always running into the issues with like vegan leather doesn't smell great, and you can't
don't
machine
know.
wash
That's a
it.
good
So you
question.
gotta scrub.
That's a great question. Yeah.
I don't even
be
know
hard
what
to
would
say.
that would be like.
Because there's so much you can go from, like pretty much like drinks, food,
You could do cannabis,
sportswear,
Yeah.
cannabis, whatever.
Blue Chew,
I don't know. I'm
Be
trying to
rock
think
hard.
of something that would be like.
Chips.
be rock hard out of the gym, or in the gym.
That's funny. I don't know. Now I'm gonna actually think about that. Like, I
Yeah.
wish I could even give an answer right now. Like, what do you use? What do we use on a daily basis that would be like, you know, I never thought this day would come, but like,
Guys, I'm so excited. I don't think this day would ever come. Blue Chew, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. You
oh, man, I want to like even say something. I don't like.
What came to mind, like off the top of your head? Like, I'm sure as I raised that question, you're probably like 3 companies flirted through your brain.
Okay, oddly enough, like for me as a gym owner, I've always been like gym equipment.
Rogue gym equipment.
Like like something like Rogue,
Rogue,
not
yeah.
Rogue. Maybe like I don't know, who do we have down there? Like
And
like
would you go Canadian or would you go American?
support local.
Yeah,
Would you go
probably
like Gorilla
Canadian.
Fitness out of like Quebec and be like, oh, I'm basically Rogue?
Yeah, something like that, I guess. But I don't as like I wouldn't be. That's not something that I'd be like. Fuck! I didn't think this day would come.
Sponsored by Zin.
Something like that, like or like that would be like something like. We don't drink that much, but like even cannabis would be funny. Would be full circle, like kind of something like that, or like
Or if like the mushroom store down the block
with like dropping off bags here.
like here's some psychedelic for your gym.
I don't know, man. That is such a good question. I think even like I'm thinking of like clothing brands or
Anything from
like
clothing brands, Nikes.
I know, but you still got to get
whatever.
obviously
Right?
something like that, but it wouldn't be like
Who would be yours?
Nike.
Yeah.
I'd probably do Nike when it comes to like wear.
Yeah, but you'd have to be like the coach of Nike, right?
it would be something like I'm trying to think of something.
You'd
I'd
be like decked out. You'd be like at one of those CrossFit workouts at their headquarters. You'd be like, oh, fuck, guys. Like looking beside you, there's Marcus Philly. You're, God damn it. It's like,
I'm just a podcast.
all right, 3 rope climbs every minute on the
It'd be
minute. You're like,
something
oh,
that, like
God.
I'm super proud of. Like even Nike, you'd be like, okay, like
Yeah.
I'm not like obviously you're proud of it, but like there's gotta be. I'm gonna sit on this question and like
Like another one that came to mind for me would be like Element. Like I use their shit literally
Yeah.
like 2 packs a day. Right. So like, I think more of that stuff of like
Yeah.
things I use on a
that's
daily
what I'm trying to
basis,
think
like,
of like stuff on a daily basis.
right? Instead
that
of
I
like,
use.
oh, like that'd be nice, right? This is save like $170
Yeti.
off like 4 packs every quarter.
yeah,
Things like that where I'm like, or if I'm using more of them, right? And then it's like every 2-3 months, it's like, oh, that'd be nice to like, right, keep that.
Like even stuff like what
still
I use
it, I'll
for
still buy it either way.
like training, right? Like not to be this shut up with the triathlon stuff, but like like as silly as it sounds, like I would be super honored to like have like a simple gel that I use every day.
Yeah.
Versus like Nike. And like even if it's a super small company or like someone like local, even like running room or like
Yeah.
who do we send people to all the time where you're like in the same way that someone would be like, you got to go check out Showtime.
Yeah.
Like those local would even be like so much more fulfilling than like, some big corporation or
box,
something.
yeah.
Obviously, like, if it also depends what it is too. If it's like, I'm trying to like, honestly, shit. Like if we had a cigar company, like we
Right.
like cigars. Like if there's a cigar company that's like, you guys smoke, like that would be cool.
Yes.
But
Right.
like
You just-
stuff that's like not necessarily like separate from like a monetary value, something like that, or like
Even
cannabis,
drinks, man.
like
yeah.
anything cannabis related, or like
I always like to like hear what other people say, right? Because like it really puts you on. You're like, oh shit, what do I use? Like, and everyone thinks so differently, right? Because you guys went right to like, oh, it's not necessarily stuff I buy, but it's like stuff for the gym.
yeah,
right?
like like I would
if you had,
I would say like still like Apple products, you know, Apple, or like I'm trying to think of like honestly like
massive, right?
we have like this is where my mind's going. It's like I buy a cow every year, right?
Right.
So if like someone sponsored like meat, like it was like a meat
Right.
company
So,
or
yeah, one of
something
those,
like that,
meat boxes
would be
like,
cool.
hey,
Or like,
you have your protein, you don't have to worry about it.
yeah, like that kind of stuff is where I lean towards. Or like,
That'd be cool.
Well, I mean, first we started really local. I was like, we just said Pizza Project.
Yeah.
Who else did we say? JC Masonry.
Yeah.
Like just our friends are like local guys.
that's why like a lot of it would be
Right.
cool. Like there's no real, for me, ultimately, it's ironic because all I got to do is say it, but like the gym, like
Yeah.
if something was like, that would be, I can't say it, that would be
but
cool because all I got to do is say it myself.
Right.
I'm the one who says it, but like,
But you also got to think about it as like, okay, we're local, right? So it's like if we promote local, people are going to be like in London, be like, where's this?
it's just so much
Right?
more
So
real
it's,
too.
right? So it's like it's more
Right.
realistic,
And it's more
right?
like community building too, right? Where it's like you do want to kind of pay it forward. Where it's like if I'm sponsoring this and if I'm like promoting this, right? Like I want to send people
yeah,
to you.
Right.
And
Right?
this
So
is like,
it just
granted,
makes
like,
sense to do
if
it
you
in
have
person. Where
10,
it's like if it's in the same city, like hey, like I could literally pick you up and like
That's-
walk
yeah,
you
that's
there or
what I'm
drive you.
saying.
there.
yeah, like that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
if a cannabis store, right, one
Right.
that had a bunch of locations in London, was like,
You got-
that would be
just
cool.
for shits and giggles. Like, is that cigar store on Warncliffe still there?
I don't know. We go to Havana Castle.
Yeah.
Right
Just
over
for
here.
shits and giggles, you guys should be like, you want to collab?
Yeah.
I have a podcast. I'll shout you guys out every episode.
Yeah.
Give us a cigar to smoke every episode or
'cause-
something. Like,
Yeah, because I know OEV did that with Purdy Naturals.
yeah.
We had like they made like a chill like rub like
Yeah,
a topical
yeah.
spread
Yeah.
for like relaxing like traps after CrossFit
Yeah.
and stuff.
I think also once you get more,
Stuff like that
like,
was cool, but it was awesome, right? Because like we just like went there to pick it up. The ladies dropped it off for us like when we were out. Even just being able to like literally grab members and like go to their little booth
Yeah.
by Cowboys and like this is where the store is. Like
Yeah.
here's all the stuff they sell.
I think it'd be cool to even revisit this, like, if it's a year or 10 years from now,
Right.
if this keeps going, if it actually like gets something going with the podcast. I mean, like, just purely imagine you have like you're very popular
Yeah.
to then like be able to
Look
like,
at this and then like,
pick certain people and like
Yeah.
again there's a monetary value for it, would be like stuff that you're interested in using, and versus like naturally you probably still hopefully have that wanting to support local, whether that's physically local or just within your circle that you
Right.
surround that you're surrounded by. But yeah it'd be
it's
like
cool. It's a cool question.
because at the end of the day, like once it gets there, it's like it does come down to ads, right?
Right.
Like if you're really stretching out in a crazy world that it actually goes somewhere,
Then
like,
you're just
then
taking
you're
all
like-
the ads you can.
Yeah. But I could also see it just only never being ads and just being like a funny joke that it's like sponsored by Showtime
Yeah,
Fitness.
even if it's that, that'd be fucking
But
hilarious.
if you do that and you're actually that large, then I'm actually getting the immediate kickback from that ad.
Yeah.
For zero cost,
Yeah,
right? Like,
absolutely.
I guess you're not getting something out of
Especially
it
if
from
you have
like,
like one local shithead that's like, like thanks Ian for sponsoring me, right? As
Yeah,
a joke,
yeah.
and you're like, my gym still wins.
yeah, exactly. But okay, so
It takes one fanboy, man. It takes one fanboy.
since you asked that,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's a hard question to like on the spot, but
Hit me.
we were trying to think. We'll kind of like finish ish with this. Me and him were like, okay, like we don't have like set questions or anything like that, but it'd be really cool to have a set, like say 3 questions that were like this, like if you had one, like something that someone could answer completely different from to the next person, whether it's like purely hypothetical or just how creative the person's mind gets to answer that question. We've been trying to like, and I do have one that I put on the rough draft.
Okay.
Because it makes me think. I had like an epiphany of it the other day. Anyways, we want to do like 5 questions that are like set for each guest that you're just like, whoa, and that's a good fucking question.
Just like he did.
So like,
Wow.
again, it's kind of one of those ones
Yeah.
that it almost has to be really thought out, unless you have something that like some people have questions where like this stumps everyone, and not like they don't have anything to say, but they're like, I get the craziest variety of answers from this question.
You can go a lot of ways with this. You really could.
Okay, so
I'll give you one right off the top of my head that
Yeah.
just immediately came up. If you were to invite, how many podcast mics do you have? 4? If you were to invite 4 people, alive or dead, who would they be and why?
Yeah.
If you had like either a sit down dinner, right? Or if you had like sit down like podcast, like who would be your 4 guests?
Yeah.
Alive or dead?
Okay. I like that.
Because that could differ
Can you
crazily
do
from
you
person to
think
person.
that would apply? This is like brainstorming for myself, thinking
Right.
this through.
Yeah.
Would that apply? Like, so say we have a guest on,
Mm-hmm.
like you're giving that person, is it, I guess it's like, or you could apply it to anything. So let me go one step further and like dissect that a little bit. Maybe it's not a podcast. What would be even weirder? Like if you could go fishing with 3 people, alive or dead, who would those 3 people be? Like podcasts, because we're sitting in a podcast
Or
studio.
even simpler, like if you were to have a dinner,
Yeah.
right? Who would be your 4
But I
or
want
5
something
dinner
more
guests?
unique. Like think of something like if you're going to go to space with 3 people, like it could be
Yeah.
silly, right? Like
On an island, you're stranded on an island. with
if
3
you're
people.
stuck,
if you're going to go Ocean Gate,
yeah,
die in a
yeah,
submarine.
that's a good question
with
right
3
there.
people. Who would you immediately die with?
That's a good question. Or I mean, you might get good and bad answers because some people are like, yeah, I'm taking these people because I fucking hate them.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
so
Again, that
okay.
example is just me being a piece of shit.
So not that like dinner's not, but like now getting the wheels
What
turning.
was
Like
the one that you just said? You had
Here's one, because you guys are, correct me if I'm wrong, but more of a bodybuilder kind of gym, right? Or your interests are more aligned with bodybuilders.
no, I would disagree. I would respectfully
it's-
disagree with
yeah.
that.
Okay.
I would
who
say,
do you
like-
look up to in fitness?
In fitness right now,
Or like who are your kind of like, I don't know, ask like who did you look up to when you first started like getting into the gym?
yeah,
Well, Ford
definitely.
was
Yeah,
your-
like that was my
yeah.
number one thing. Like, I was never really like a real big like. Not that I'm not just diverting from the question, but I was never really a big like fanboy of like I could walk through like say like a Olympia Expo or something like that, and I never gave a shit to like meet anyone or.
Yeah,
like,
you're not the person that strikes me as like starstruck.
Yeah,
Like if you were to
maybe
come across, like, a
starstruck, but it's
celebrity, you
more
wouldn't be
like I'm not going for a picture or asking for like in bodybuilding in particular because I wasn't just like a fanboy per se of that. It would be more of like
If you see the person, you see the person. Hey, what's up? And then that's it.
yeah. But like even because that would be completely different from now. Like now, like this, like I'm obviously into like endurance stuff now, and like
Right.
like there's this triathlete like Lionel Sanders, like he's like awesome, and that would be cool, and that just from more of a I don't know what I'm trying to say. Mature standpoint, I'd love to like, talk with him and stuff. And whether it's talk or not, I just like really respect what he does. So that would be like cool.
But I'm guessing.
I don't
help
know. I'm
me
trying to
refine
think,
even like,
like-
so with these questions. Like, are you looking for it to be like specific to the gym?
No,
or are you looking? Just
no,
kind of
not at all.
Anything.
I want it to be as
Anything.
vague as possible.
Yeah.
Like, so that one's awesome.
So vague, so you can just go like deep in any direction.
Yes,
Anything.
like that one's awesome. I'm almost 100% going to take that like typical 2-person to have dinner with, but I'd want to
Yeah.
like, if you were in a road trip in a country, like a, coast to coast road trip with, who would 2 people you'd want to go with that you don't know
Yeah.
or something?
I will warn you with that one. Don't go like past 5.
Yeah, I know because
Right?
even said
'Cause
4,
some
I'm
people
like,
would
I
be
have
like,
no idea.
Because I've heard some podcasts
2 or
where it's
3.
like, like live or dead, like who are 5 people, and people would be like, I have no fucking clue.
Okay,
who the
so
fifth is, right?
this
So,
is
like,
my question, and this came up, and I was like, oh, that might somewhere fit in there. Like, so with the importance of like everything I have, there's so many. Like, I reflected on this because of like Tatum and like taking pictures of everything, and like not, and this can go either way, positive or negative, but like your camera roll,
Right.
Like, how much would you be willing to pay ransom to get your camera roll back?
$0.
Really?
Don't give a fuck.
How come?
I don't take photos.
Like, so, but even pictures of like kids and stuff like that, like none of that. Yeah, okay, that's like
more.
I don't know. I just have so many, like like
Maybe that's just my fucked up wiring, but that's
no. That's like
It's hard
because
to say, right?
yeah. But no, like camera roll wise, like No, there's like, I'm not that, I guess I'm the wrong person to ask that question to. Cause like,
No, that's an answer. There's no wrong
I
answer.
wouldn't be, right? Like I'm not attached to my camera roll. I'm not the type of person that takes like 400 photos a day.
Yeah.
Right? Like any of my, like half my camera roll is like pertinent information I need. So it's like technical drawings at like Diamond. If I need to like quickly reference like a
Yeah,
schematic
but what if you didn't have that? Would you be able to do it
I could
again?
get the blueprints.
Yeah.
I'm just lazy. I don't want to go over and get like, pull the drawer out, find like
So it's
document
$0.
20.
Yeah, no, but that's fine
Yeah.
because like, you know, like, and again, also like think of it from like, for me, like, you know, all my like Tatum's born on like the day, all those pictures from when she was born and like,
yeah, I can see that.
the
Absolutely.
dog stuff, like, you know, both of our dogs have passed away and like very, very, like I have a very vivid timeline through all my pictures in the last 10 years
Absolutely.
of like the progress of the gym and like different stages in life and like these very important pictures that I like take for granted.
Yeah.
And don't, but like, imagine you had all of those gone.
Ian's going home today and he's going to make
You
like
gotta put
6
a cloud
collage
up
books.
there.
I don't have any, but like I don't think again circles back to like I don't think a lot like if people a lot of people's core memories now live on their phone other than when they are. But like I'll go through pictures and be like, man, that is like I'll have that moment forever now in a way because it's on here and like that's more so where I was going for it and like but there's no wrong answer, you know what I mean? Like that's
so
zero. Like
I guess let me flip the question. How much would you pay for your
I
camera roll
don't
back?
know. Like I genuinely think from a memory standpoint, like I go
If it's
to like
only on your phone, that's it. You have it on your phone.
What if someone was like, I want the gym for your camera roll back?
what?
Like for all your memories.
I'll trade you the gym
for all your kid photos, dog photos.
Yeah.
You need to give up the gym.
I don't think so.
You wouldn't take that trade?
I don't think so.
That's a good man. That's a good answer.
That's a good,
I don't know. It's a hard question to answer because you don't. I don't know what
It's
that
meant to
feels
be.
like until you don't have it. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
for
go
sure.
back to Tatum. Like I have the day she was born, the pictures, like her whole life is like we go back and look at it, or like you know shit pops
It's
up. And you're like,
documented,
holy
pretty
shit!
much,
like
yeah.
Right, but give me a number.
I would say like a couple tens of thousands.
Like 250K?
No.
50K.
Like
50K?
50 max.
50
Okay.
max.
That's reasonable.
You know, and I don't know. That could change if it came to reality. You know, whether you were just
Right.
like
And
someone
then
hacked it and you never
But if
got it
someone
back
was like, I
unless you
wanted a half
paid it.
mil for all of your cameras,
'Cause
like the
that's
last
what's
15
happening.
years.
It's hard
you're
because like I
that.
just generally obviously wouldn't be able to pay for that. Like
Yeah.
if I had unlimited money, then it's one
Right.
thing. But I don't know. Like if you had, I guess the next.
I guess what would be the number that would break? Like that would, you'd be like, that's the tearing point of like, that would be make or break. Like,
I would like
I'd
to
pay that
roughly
amount,
draft
but I'd
say
be fucked.
40, 50.
Right.
But I don't know. That's with having that in your possession now. That's a lot. Like you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, bullshit. Like that's a
But
lot
seeing
of
that
money.
leave your account and be like zero.
But what if you had? Okay, here's a better question then. Say your budget was $100,000.
Okay.
You got to keep whatever was left over.
To trade it for your phone?
Yeah.
I'm keeping
your
100 grand.
pictures.
I'm making 100 grand, boys.
$100,000.
I'm walking away with a cool
grand.
6-figure salary.
See, I'd be like, yeah, take it all.
I would take.
None of it's out of my pocket. Take it all. Take 100. I get my pictures
Nope.
back.
I would delete my camera reel, walk away with that, and be like, "Sick." Now I'm going to figure out what I need to do in the next
Yeah.
year to build my business.
Yeah. No.
That'd be
with
my,
that-
at this point in my life where I am. I would
Yeah.
take that move because like, yeah, Iris is still young enough where I know like Maria would have her camera roll, like that wouldn't be gone, so mine would be gone. But I'm not.
that's
So it's
kinda bullshit,
so
But
there
I'm-
you go.
but
It's
I'm not
like
the photo-
Jason still has the pictures.
But you,
It's like, and
I'm,
then
hey,
no
hey, hey,
100 grand.
I'm living within the rules of your
Yeah,
own
you're
question.
right.
You fuck.
You're right. You're
It's
right.
like Jay still has the pictures, and you're just like, Ian, take the 100
Yeah, but that
grand,
wasn't in the
man.
question. So
Yeah,
I
no.
found a loophole.
Yeah, I don't know. I
No, but like to be honest, like I'm just not the photo taker, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not the guy behind a DSLR. Like I'm not the guy behind like my phone all day every day, right?
Yeah.
It's like I'll use it for Spotify and I'll use it
Yeah.
for audiobooks, but like that's where my tech ends. Like I'm not really taking photos.
Yeah, I guess it's just I'm again. I don't want
But
to
I could see
sound
that
like,
if I was
but,
like a big voice memo guy, right? Or if I was like, oh, I do all my vlogs, I do all my content on my phone, and like if that was gone, yeah, I think it would be a much different answer.
What's I mean for you is like,
See,
big-
ask-
is like
Ask
the
me in a
memory.
year.
Yeah,
ask
but
me in a
dude,
year when I
that's
have
like-
a podcast and I have like actual content on my phone, then my answer might
But
change.
I'm just being devil's advocate, or not even devil's advocate. For me, I wouldn't give a shit about any of that stuff. Like
It's only
any
your
like it's
personal-
my
yeah.
memories
Your-
that
yeah.
I would be the most
See, I
afraid
would-
to lose.
No,
Yeah.
see, as a musician, that's where I have to disagree. Like, I would content, right?
Yeah.
Like thinking about how like I've been playing guitar for 15 years, right? And it's like in that 15 years, I've been good for maybe 2 of those 15, right? So like same thing as fitness, right?
Yeah.
It's like I put that many years into training. Like I feel like I'm just this far from.
I like this because it's now putting parameters. So I could qualify the question with you, like on your camera roll, what's the most important content on there?
yeah,
You
or you could be like,
say something like,
or just
that.
Yeah, you could do something along those lines, or
And then it's like, so how much would you pay for that? The content on it,
Yeah.
as far as like
here's a question for you: are you minimalist or no?
I mean, kind of hard to say when like I'd like to think I am.
Okay. If you were to throw out everything you own, what would be the one item you keep?
Buddy, I can literally throw with anything.
I-
What would you keep?
I would say like selfishly my phone.
Phone. Yeah, well,
So you'd be just dick swinging, walking around, no clothes, but phone. Yeah, we got a phone.
Whoa, what do you
well, it's like, what would I keep? I'll keep my house,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Okay.
You can keep
like,
one
it's
thing.
like-
shelter.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, let's say like, okay, basic necessities, shelter, water, food, sex, off the table.
Yeah. So like, what would that be? Like
No tech.
You're like,
Let's take the phones away too, because that's kind of an extension of you.
And what would I keep?
okay.
What would, yeah, what would be cute? What would you keep?
So I'm just
like your
brainstorming this. So
your
if
wife comes home, right?
'cause
She's
I like this
We're
question.
minimalist now. We're purging fucking everything. Nothing makes me happy. We're getting rid of everything until I'm happy.
Other than the bare necessities of life,
yeah.
assuming unfortunately your phone's in there,
Yeah, assuming
Phone-
that like your necessities of like food, shelter, roof over your head, right? Like your next meal,
and basic communication, meaning your
those
phone.
are satisfied.
Computer's not in that.
No.
Okay. That's a good question because I might use these. So now we're at one item aside from basic necessities.
That you'd keep,
Say two people you'd do X with.
or you'd go on a road trip with.
Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah,
You
go on
do
a road trip, go
this,
to
whatever the
space.
cool thing we can think of is,
Yeah.
and then I like the camera roll. So,
So what would I keep?
I would say something pertaining to the gym, like the gym. I know that's like more than one thing, technically speaking. I would say it would have to be for me something like health related. Like if I had to really narrow it down, something like my bike
Yeah.
or like something that is health and fitness related. So if you'd allow me to say my business as the gym, then that. If I have to really narrow it down to one pair of dumbbells, then something like that. Like I'm thinking guns, no. Vehicle. I think that would maybe be bare necessities qualified or no.
we could throw it in there, right? Could just be like, oh, that's kind of, but no, vehicle like that's a good one, right? Because that's means of transport to
Yeah.
get to and from.
But you could
Yeah, but if
commute
someone-
Take
differently.
the bus.
Someone really loves
walk.
their bike, right? They might be like, I'm fucking keeping my road bike because that's
Yeah.
like all I do.
I would
Like,
say for
my dad
I
would probably take that bet. 'cause
I
he's-
think it would
ever
narrow
since
down to
his knees
something
went,
like
he's
health related. I think you'd
Yeah.
lose your mind if you didn't have some outlet for.
Yeah,
So-
I think mine would be vehicle. Like if I was to give up everything, like that's the one thing I like, where I really do enjoy like just going on like road trips or driving,
Same,
right? So
yeah.
it's like even just having that as a means to like clear your head. If everything else in your life is going shit, right? You can just hop in, go for a drive, just take a few minutes, like right, like you come back and you're like, okay,
If there's one language you could learn instantly fluently, what would it be?
Spanish.
I don't know. Is that a question or an
That's me.
answer?
I do that probably.
probably Chinese, just with how much of the world speaks it.
I was gonna say something
And with how
like
different it is from like, because I speak Polish and I speak English, but like Polish is similar enough to English, right? Where it's like phonetically Like different rules, yes, but alphabet looks the same.
I would
other than,
have
like few characters.
I would have to say
Whereas
something.
like Chinese, like, you look at it and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't have any idea what the characters mean.
I would have to say something that's
I wouldn't
the
even know where
hardest
to
learn.
start with like
Yeah.
pronunciation, right? Or like, and just, I think it'd just be cool to be
Yeah.
like a white guy that knows those dialects.
Yeah,
And you could just
exactly.
kind of flip into like, if you hear someone speaking like Cantonese, right, or like different dialects, you just kind of be like, oh, like I know what they're saying, right?
Yeah,
Mandarin or
and
something.
then throwing
Yeah,
people
never-
off by being like a white guy that speaks like flawless Mandarin or like Cantonese.
Yeah.
Like I think that'd be rad.
Yeah, I think so too. Something that would be next to impossible.
Or I think Spanish too. Like I love like
Yeah.
my time in Peru.
Just
I think my
because
time in
love the
Peru could have been
language,
much
it's just a
easier.
cool language, yeah.
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 It might apply more actually in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
More than fucking Chinese,
Well, I think it's
maybe, depending what you're doing.
I think that's the one thing I look forward to with like AI. I think the most is like I'm counting the days when like it simplifies language down
Yeah.
to like a universal language for everyone.
Yeah.
Or if it simplifies like, oh, you could translate like in moment.
Yeah,
where
yeah,
I
yeah.
could talk
Real
in,
time,
in English
yeah.
and you could speak in like German, right? And like in
And
real
we
time,
pro-
the phone could just be
yeah.
like, you say your natural and it just converts it perfectly with
Yeah.
no like words lost into
Yeah.
English. Like I think
Yeah.
that'd be rad.
Yeah.
And I think
And
that
we're close with that.
well, I feel like once that comes out, I feel like anyone that has like a massive YouTube channel or like podcast can get even larger.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like that's kind of what like Mr. Beast does.
Yeah,
right? Is
yeah.
He takes like half his videos and just gets like someone that speaks Spanish to dub them.
To
Yeah,
dub 'em,
like
yeah.
in lots of languages.
Well, he has
right?
like
does that in
the
tons
well
of
now
languages.
he's I think he's gonna start doing more and more and more because he realized like
Right.
oh like I don't even have to create new content. I
Yeah.
already spent the money on making my on one piece of content. But if I
Right.
transcribe this into like
3 languages.
Albanian,
Yeah.
German,
Yeah.
Polish, Lithuanian, Russian, right? Like
Right.
you can just now my market is completely open, right? Because
Yeah.
there's no language barrier.
Well, that's a good start to our ultimate.
Well,
3 or 5
we
questions.
got a few.
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll
if
evolve.
there's-
You almost can't think of it too hard because then
Yeah.
it like
If there's one skill you could pick up like that, like if a genie came out of a lamp and was like, you get one skill, motherfucker.
honestly, it would. My gut says something like insane piano.
It's just shred.
Yeah, I just like mesmerized by people that can do that. Like if I think about a deeper like skill, I don't know. Like
Well, I'm just thinking it's like what can help me, right? Mm-hmm. It's like so I'd probably pick up like
counting cards.
that's a good one.
Just sitting there in every blackjack game.
Something where you could
Twitching
like
out.
crazy mathematics. Like I saw a chick that figured out the equation or like something to do with the equation for like a certain type of lottery cards and won like 6 of them.
I heard about that.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah, she
Yeah,
figured
it's
out some. I don't know what it was. I'll be butchering it, but
It was some kind of statistic, like she did like crazy statistical
Yeah.
numbers, and then figured out what the there's like a number that goes on those scratch cards.
yeah,
And she was only picking
scratch cards
scratch
that had a
cards
certain
that had
like
a
serial
certain
number on
serial
it.
number.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Or like a-
Christ.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. I could be butchering that, but like
it was
she
something
found
like that.
figured out something.
and it
but-
was
So just-
scratch cards. It
Well-
wasn't like lottery. It was like scratch
Yeah,
cards,
yeah.
and she would pick those numbers, and she'd be like winning.
you.
Skill to learn? I think not to be so in my head. I think just like any skill that had to do with like charisma or public speaking or things that just like further launch me out of that like sit and think and
Yeah.
would kind of propel me into more of like an action state.
Yeah.
I think I would take that like any skill, right? Like and whether it be charisma, so you just have an easier time talking to people, whether it be like inflection of speech,
Yeah.
right? So you can like change your voice and sound more interesting, or like just have better control of the dynamics. Like there's so many things I could think of that can make you like it wouldn't even have to be anything extravagant,
Yeah.
right? Even something with like talking with more inflection,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like you immediately like someone listening would just be like, oh shit, like,
That's
that guy's
yeah.
a sexy voice. Like,
Yeah.
Right? Like something captivating, I think would be my focus. What about the flip side of it? One skill, if a genie, like same genie comes out of that bottle, but now he's like, one skill I could just make you unlearn.
Oh, unlearn.
I mean, probably something like that. You know, like take away that like
Take away your charisma.
not
You
charisma.
now can't talk to women.
But like no, like I not even pertaining to that, but like that hesitation in public and or self
So like the anxiety.
doubt or like the hesitation to like be judged type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like, I give you like a half answer for that because that's like, I think, is that a skill type of thing? But like, I think that's
a good one. I don't even.
I don't know,
what
a
would,
skill that I have that's like that you could easily give up. That's useless type of thing. Like
I don't know.
when I think of skill, I think of
Maybe
like
someone's like my nicotine addiction.
Yeah.
I want to.
but that wouldn't be a skill. Like
Okay,
I'm talking about like
I guess so. What if you're like, I fucking hate my kettlebell clean, right? Like, wish I could unlearn that fucker so I could just start over again.
no, there's got to be bigger things than that.
Or like my
It'd be like
ability
my
to sell.
I don't know. I think it. Yeah, I mean now you're just reflecting on like. I think there's a difference between reflecting
for
on
sure.
your negative aspects of yourself versus a skill. Like when I think of skill, I think
It's
of like
building something, taking things apart, skill.
like that's I think what that is more of
Playing
a like if you
piano.
could change one thing about improve one characteristic of yourself or remove one characteristic of yourself, separate question than if you could improve one, if you can instantly learn one skill or like you had to give up one skill, what would you give up?
Right.
It'd be like
Hard to say.
I don't know, I don't have any skills.
I know that's what I'm saying. It's like what
so
can
little skills.
I
It's
suck.
like what skill can I take away? Is like I don't know. What skill can make like take away from me to make me better?
You know, if I was like
like-
if I like for
I don't know,
instance
it's a
like
really introspective question.
yeah, like a skill would be like if I stepped on the ice Thursday and I was like, don't know what hand to shoot
Right.
or didn't know how to stand on skates, I'd be like, hockey, take away my hockey skill. But that's not like I'm necessarily like highly skilled, but like that'd be great. Like imagine you got that taken away and I've played hockey my whole growing up and then like
All of a
instantly
sudden,
was like, fuck,
You
what
don't know
hand
how
do
to
I
skate on
shoot?
ice, yeah.
Or like something like that.
Or like going golfing is like how'd I hit the ball?
yeah.
Dude, I've had some moments with that. It's been a few years. Like, oh, my irons are shorter than I remember.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There we go.
Skill is like
We got to
Yeah, I
get
got plenty of
started on
questions.
it's like
it.
you got to find
to
somebody
think
who's
on,
got
yeah.
a lot of skills and be
But
like,
there is honestly a
take one
couple of
away.
those are like really good. Like I
Yeah.
like the I want to create our own environment or our own version of like that two people one. If it's like makes people like it's all the same question, but like just something that's a little more like you know like us. Like if you could even the typical like if you could smoke a joint with two people and you
Right.
only had the duration of that joint to hang out with them, what would it be? Who would the two people be?
Ooh, I like that one. I like
You
that
know,
one.
if you had one like big joint to smoke between three people, any people, two people you could smoke it with, you only had the duration of that joint and then they were gone, who would it be? I like that. Like, although
you
that's
don't have to answer.
I will answer. You know what? I'd probably pick like at least one astronomer like Carl Sagan, who I knew was a pothead.
yeah,
Right? Because like the original like Space Time Odyssey, like that guy.
yeah,
And he's like,
okay.
we are Stardust. Like,
And who else?
Just because I knew, like, there's been so much talk about like the academic industry that guy was like as brilliant astronomer, but a huge pothead. So I
Yeah.
would love to see like, I've only ever seen him in a professional setting because I watched him as a kid.
Yeah,
So I'd love to then as an adult be like, yeah, let's smoke a joint together and let's talk like space. Now that
Yeah.
I know how, now that I've had like 20 years to actually learn. About
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And I feel like I still know nothing about that. So, and with the recent stuff that's come out in like space news too, I think that would be a good conversation to have over that.
Okay, but you only have the duration
I know,
of this
I know, you
joint.
only have the joint.
And
I
you
would-
have to factor in the second person. So it's you and three people. So like, what are you going to
Ooh,
spend half the
so-
joint smoking, talking to this guy? and
Okay,
half
so
the
I'm
joint?
picking another astronomer. Easy.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Like
right.
that's
So I'm
like
just picking like Neil Tyson deGrasse and like Carl Sagan. There
yeah.
we go.
Because you could have a
current
three-way
Cosmo, past Cosmo.
You could have a three-way conversation
go.
with them. And
Yeah.
it's not like this other guy sitting like, you know, he's a
Oh, dude, I wouldn't even talk. I would just like.
you guys
I would,
talk.
I would ask one
I'm
question.
gonna sit here and smoke this whole
I'd be
joint.
like, "What's string theory?" And then I would just like sit back
hurry up.
and just get scared.
I just let that joint burn, man. I wouldn't even smoke it. I just let it burn more time.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless there's a windy day and you're like, shit.
I like that. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Now the only adjustment I'd have to think of is like, what if like you or like someone just doesn't give a shit? I'd be like, what do you enjoy doing? Like, what if someone doesn't smoke weed? You know what I mean?
Drink.
Yeah. If you could have like,
Right, like
sit down for a beer or
If you
something.
were to sit down for a beer, or you were to sit down for like a cigar.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you could flip it to like
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
vice they have.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
Nice.
That's good. You got to have us on.
I do.
But
Yeah.
we don't know anything about fucking
That's all right.
astronomy. So
Hey, man. That's okay.
We don't know any.
We'll figure something
instruments.
out.
We don't know
we'll
astronomy.
get, just make sure you email us a list of all the questions beforehand.
I'll pre-forward all the questions just like you did today.
Yes, exactly. Still on for 7? Yep. Okay.
Man, and this morning I was waiting for like ever since you were like, oh, you could automate messages and you could schedule them.
I don't know if I actually did though.
I was so stoked to see your automated message and it didn't come through today.
That's a good idea. But did I send
and like
one?
all I don't know. You talked about it last time, and
I
you're
know, I might have
I'm
not
gonna
have actually
preset a
scheduled
message because it's
something.
going to be awesome on the 16th. It's going to send you a text at like 8 a.m. and it's going to be like, hey man, are we still good for the podcast? Like noon rolls around, I'm like, hey
Fuck,
Ian,
you
are we
forgot.
still good for the podcast?
Yeah, I guess I did it.
I was
That's
like,
weird.
what time today? 7:30 is like 7. I was like, all right, 7 it is.
That's how we roll around here. So
Yeah, man, that was good fun.
okay, yeah. We'll have
But yeah,
to
no,
like,
absolutely. Once I get everything on my end like set up, I'll absolutely have you boys over and we'll
and like I said before, like this is side
I'm
note.
gonna
If
start
you
Googling
if
astrology,
you want to
man.
do something here,
astronomy, not astrology.
Astronomy.
yeah, I made this.
One is a
mistake last-
science,
Yes.
one is bullshit.
Okay.
I made this mistake
See?
last time.
Oh, okay. You got to teach us.
Yeah.
Until next time. Thanks for listening.